And here we go. Welcome to episode number 32 of You Had Me at Halo, where we talk about one of the game's most storied franchises. All right, well, today we have our very own celebrity joining us, our very first celebrity joining us. And we got a lot to talk about. We have a lot of new campaign details. We have a lot of things to discuss in terms of Joseph Staten's most recent interview. I'm sure most of you who are pulling up to this show are probably are coming up to us with some bloodshot eyes, with a lot less sleep than you're used to, since the multiplayer just dropped on us while none of us got to take time off of work. So we do thank you for joining us. But before we get into the topics, let's go ahead and introduce everybody. By the way, we will have some Spartans joining us as the show continues on.
They're going to be dropping in via the drop pod, right?
Yeah. We're just going to. Well, actually, what is that called when you get them dropped into on the campaign? When you get your Marines dropped in? Well, you don't get to drop in Spartan.
Yeah, it's drop. Well, it's a drop pod, isn't it? So,
yeah. All right. So yeah, we're going to do the drop pod. So first up, I'm going to introduce our guest, Spartan Jon, aka Mr. Sikamikanico. How's it going, Jon?
It's going good, and it's nice to kind of be like, finally, I can come on, XboxEra's own Halo branded show, because, you might have seen I've not really been able to, and it's not because you guys didn't really understand why I was avoiding it, but now you kind of know. So it's nice to actually finally be here and hang out with you guys and chat about, one of my favorite franchises ever. So thanks for having me at last.
Yeah, well, thank you.
Sorry about all the lies.
Right. It's like, we're just starting to wonder if just Jon didn't even like Halo, but
I can see I made the universe for fun. What did I miss? Why was he avoiding it? And look, I'm going to show you in a cool way. I've worn this t-shirt countless times, but I've never turned around. And this is the rare back of the headshot that you can see.
Look at that cake.
So that's why I've not been appearing on the show. And this was a present from 343 when we went there. So
man,
it's pretty cool.
That is very cool to be able to say you walked into 343 and probably got to see some things that most Halo fans wouldn't get to see. But we'll see what we can get from you. We know that today, probably, every one of our viewers so far probably is a Microsoft lawyer, making sure that you don't say anything.
Yeah, honestly, the terrifying people. So yes, I am being well behaved, honest.
I hear they're well paid too, so they probably know what they're doing. All right, and next up we got Spartan Jesse, aka Mr. Don Cabeza. How's it going, Jesse?
I am doing very well. I hope you are as well, my friend. Abe,
Thank you.
One bad mother.
It's the most, thing. Only heard how you talk to me when we're not online, live. But before we get going with some of the topics today, Jon, since it is your first time on the show, as a guest, we do want to find out a little bit more about you and Halo. So
is this like my Halo history segment? Is this the moment where I get to shine?
Yeah, make it. Give us, show us your Halo cred.
Okay.
Tell us about your experience with Halo. First time you ever played it.
First time you met John Halo.
He's really cool and isn't afraid of anything. Well, not many people know, but the Master Chief was actually named after me. No.
I don't know why they added the H in, though.
Yeah,
that was bullshit.
Well, they didn't want to, make anyone else feel bad. No, I mean, Halo is the reason I love Xbox so much, and I think that's probably true of the majority of Xbox fans out there. Certainly of my age group. Played it in a electronics boutique in the UK in a demo pod in 2001. My younger brother and I, silent cartographer, co-op, minds blown. And the romance started from there. And I've always loved them. There was lots of LAN parties and things like that. But then I think Halo 3, when they released Forge, was my kind of the addiction surfaced, because I used to love multiplayer and I was quite competitive at the time, and just for credibility reasons, Halo 3 ranks 46 in Team Slayer and I think 47 in dubs, so not bad.
Oh, wow.
I'm okay. I'm older now, so I'm not expecting such performance. I'm currently ranked Platinum 3 in Halo Infinite, which, considering I was quite rusty.
I just hit Plat 3.
Oh, cool. Oh, there you go. That was my first ranking, and it's only going to go up from here. So as I get hang of it. But when Halo 3 released in 2007, and then they released the what did they call it? The Foundry Map Pack. I can't remember. It was called something. They released Forge, this Forge that you could actually move every object within the map that they'd made. Because originally Forge was intended to be, a map adjustment tool, not a map builder. But the community were like, oh, if we place this thing on top of this thing, it's a cat, it's a Halo podcast, or it's an XboxEra podcast. If I place this thing on top of this thing, I can make a structure, and it kind of ballooned from there. And if you didn't know this, if you ever played Halo 3 back in the day, I was the co-author of the very first ever community-made map in matchmaking, which was Infected Manor, which was a house map in the Infection playlist in Halo 3. And that was cool. And that kind of started a relationship. I had a couple of others in there during Halo 3 matchmaking for Bungie Day, or whatever they called it. Halo Reach, again, very addicted. Got a few maps in matchmaking. I think Kingdom in the MLG playlist at some point in my life was a big one. And then Halo 4 came out, and I didn't like the Forge as much on that one, and kind of just fell off the train for a little while. Real life was happening and going on. But then Halo 5 came out, and that Forge tool kind of really did. I've played more Forge hours than I have multiplayer hours, which is kind of nuts.
Wow.
And yeah, I mean, you've probably played some of my maps in matchmaking at this point in Halo 5, from Fever Pitch or Hallows or the Ghost in the Shell one. So I actually won, and I'm going to cheat. I never do this on a podcast normally, but that Needler on the Wall, I actually won second place in a map making contest for Ghost in the Shell when they did a tie-in promotion with the movie. So I've got quite a lot of familiarity with the franchise. And, I've worked with the Sustain team at 343 for a bunch of various projects relating to Halo, for Halo 5 matchmaking specifically. And that's kind of how I got the gig. I think they realized when I was working on something, I was addicted to the point where I was like, they were like, hey, you need to adjust this, and this for performance reasons. And it'd be like 3 hours go by, I'd be like, done. And they'd be like, oh, okay, you're really keen. So I guess that put me in good standing. But yeah, that's me trying to nutshell my history with Halo. So I hope that gives some idea. But I'm a big fan. Read all the books, or most of the books.
I have no idea who you are. I'm sorry.
No,
That doesn't give me any idea.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not. I don't proclaim to be, Halo famous community wise, but I've been lurking for a long time. So yeah, it's nice. It's nice to kind of see that recognition later on. It was really cool.
What John's trying to say is that he's kind of a big deal.
Well, I am in the credits for a Halo game. Like that is a. I said to my one of my mates, I was like, I was 17 when I first played Halo. Who'd have thought? Like all those years later, 20 years later, I'd actually be in the credits for a game. I mean, that's insane to me. Me.
I thought that would happen the whole time to you. I didn't even know you.
Oh, yeah. Wow.
I was like, that guy, John Clarke from England, he's going to be in Halo Infinite.
I've not met him yet, but he'll probably be in a Halo one day.
For people that don't know,
Halo hadn't even come out yet when I started thinking that. That was a crazy.
For people that don't know, Jesse is the brown noser of the Xbox era.
He's doing very well, very well.
Not when it comes to Abe, though.
Not when it comes to me, because what doesn't matter what I think. So, John, I gotta ask. So these are a couple really important Halo questions. What is your favorite Halo?
Can I come
he can't
back
talk
to you? Can I come back to you on that question?
Oh.
Okay, no, you know,
I know.
let's pretend. Let's pretend.
Okay, what's your favorite
Halo?
Halo before Infinite?
Halo 3, probably. I mean, it's
Okay.
Halo 3 to Halo CE is probably a tie. CE because regardless of the repeated level design and the the kind of old nature of it now, I still feel the combat holds up. The gameplay loop is just perfect. I know the game like the back of my hand, and yet somehow I'm never bored of it. But Halo 3 probably just pips it to the post. Not so much because perhaps I feel it's a better game or it's got more memorable levels or moments, but it was at the right time in my life where I got to spend an enormous amount of time and made some incredible friendships that I'm still friends with people to this day that I met playing that game. So Halo 3 probably takes just by a hair as my all-time favorite so far.
That's actually a pretty good answer. And I think that's what's unique about Halo, because a lot of people do tie nostalgia to it, right? Like we tie some really good memories to it, and the community aspect of Halo and maybe, Xbox, like that whole thing came together because of Halo, and I think that, some people's best gaming memories are because Halo brought us all together, even the people that weren't giant first-person shooter fans. And it's like, funny, I've been talking to people about that this week, right? Just some of the feelings people are getting going on there again. And, some people coming back to the platform or coming back to the game for the first time in a long time. So that's pretty cool. All right. So
we got a super chat.
Oh, all right. Let's go through this.
Mr. Joanna Dark. Hello, gentlemen. Do you think Halo Infinite's story will be more emotional and impactful than Halo 4? And what story DLC would you like to see? I guess we'll start with the beginning one. Do you think this will be more emotionally impactful?
I'll let you guys answer this first.
You want to go first, Jesse?
You're literally the only one of us that can answer this.
I know, but that's
we're going to get.
No, I mean Abe.
Okay,
I know the story. I probably know more than you do, John.
Oh, you spoiled yourself on purpose.
Yeah, he's a
yes, you do know more than me.
I spoiled myself so that I could moderate our forums properly.
Wow, that's some dedication.
Mm-hmm.
I gotta hand it to you. No spoilers. No spoilers, guys. We're not going to talk about any plot.
All right, so I haven't spoiled myself, guys. I'm going to say yes because I feel like, contrary to what Jesse.
Nice.
Contrary to what Jesse thinks, I think Halo 4 story is a bit overrated.
All right, this might look weird for a second because I'm adding in.
Oh, Mr.
Yep.
Oh, son of a.
Nope, it's not you. It's the when I jump to 4 webcams, I have to then activate the 4 webcam audio. I forgot.
We okay now, folks?
Sorry.
We'll be back.
Testing. Can you all hear?
No, we're back. I know we're back. It's on OBS.
Okay, good.
Okay.
There you go.
All right. So, Mike, how's it going?
Much better now.
That's a rhetorical question. You're not supposed to answer honestly. You're supposed to put on a brave face.
Great. Awesome.
In England, we have. I've noticed this in America. Tangent alert. Sorry, this is a thing. Right, in England, we say "you're right," and someone will go "yeah, you, yeah," and that's it. That's the end of the conversation. Right? That's it. That's any interaction where you don't actually care. So shop, pop into the shops, doing supermarket run, anything where you're interacting with someone you don't really know or have any investment in. That is a general example of a conversation. In the US, I noticed when I've been over there several times, if I say, "How you doing?" I will get a life story from you, mother. I will genuinely get a life story.
We don't have as long and miserable a history as England does.
No, that's true. That's true.
We're still happy.
But I just want anyone in the States watching, if a British person says, "You're right," just say yeah. Because we don't care. We're asking, this is a pure...
A lot of us do.
Politeness.
I promise. There's a fair amount of us that do.
Okay.
Like, do you care or do you say yeah?
That do just say yeah because none of us actually care.
Maybe it's a shop person thing, like coffee in the morning. I'm not here for conversation.
Oh, it's
I'm here
definitely
for
a thing where if you work at a company, they will yell at you that you must talk to customers no matter what. You have to be the nicest person. The customer's always right. Even if they're a total shithead, doesn't matter. You've got to be super kind.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't subscribe to that methodology.
No.
But anyway, Mike, it's great to be here. I'm on the Halo podcast. This feels good.
Hi,
and it's
Sick.
nice that you're here as
Hi,
well.
John.
So I was saying I
Yeah.
was going to miss you, and then so it's all worked out wonderfully.
Yes.
We were just asked via super chat, which apologies to Joanna Dark, Mr. Joanna Dark.
It's her husband.
There you go. That whether we think Halo Infinite story will be more emotional and impactful than Halo 4. So that was the first part. So I'm gonna, and Jesse's gonna. Abe said, "Yeah." What do you say?
Yeah, I hope yes. Let's go with yeah.
Cool.
I think having a I won't go back. I won't go down that.
There's a
road.
lot of opportunities just from what little I guess you and I know. I'm not talking to these two people, but but yeah, there's a lot of opportunities that I like that they showed the clip of the weapon asking what did Cortana do wrong. Like that alone kind of caught me by surprise. And then you add in just if there is a resolution for Cortana, how that's going to go.
I will give you one thing that's tangible that's not a spoiler, and that is the music. I feel like the music in Halo 4 was not bad. It was just kind of there.
It was very different and very sci-fi.
And I was just listening to the track today, from Infinite, and right off the bat, you start getting chills in certain parts, man. It does a good job being modern and slightly different.
Thankfully, it's finally on legal YouTube channels, so you can
legally watch
without,
it, guys.
Yeah,
the soundtrack for Halo Infinite is incredible.
It is, and it hits all the nostalgic notes.
The thing is, my favorite track, even the prog rocky stuff, like at the end of matches, I'm not a big fan of that style of music, but it kind of works. But the real, I think the best track, my favorite track, and it isn't a typical Halo track, is the Banished kind of theme, the dun in the oh man, every time it's just such an incredible. Any Halo video I ever make from now on will probably have that track in it because I just think it's awesome.
I think that's why I like all your videos, John. Every time you hit those notes, I'm like, this video is the best. I don't know why.
I try.
But it makes a huge difference to me. And it's like I was listening to that. I could almost picture that. I was like trying to picture what scenes would come with that. I'm like, I was just excited about that. So, it's interesting because, even Todd Howard said they start with their music before they start putting their scenes and their stories together. So I think a lot of that has to do with it.
It's like, to use a real world example, and I presume most people know this, but you've all seen Interstellar, right?
Mm-hmm.
So classic
20 or 30 times.
Mike.
What the hell's wrong with you, Mike?
Michael Skiles.
I know. It's on my list. It's on my long list of movies to catch up on.
Yeah. But to give you an example of relevant to Interstellar is when Hans Zimmer was apparently approached for the soundtrack, he was like, give me a theme, and you want a theme for this? What is it? And Nolan told him to write music about love, not about space or sci-fi or aliens or anything like that. Love. And that was the track he came up with. And then when he heard it, he was like, oh god, this is a sci-fi movie. And he's like, no, this is perfect. And that soundtrack is incredible in that movie. So,
yeah, it's one of the best he's ever made.
Yeah, it's important. The music is just as important a character as your motion capture and your voice acting and your art. So 100%.
I'd say it's even more important than graphics because you mentioned CE earlier, and the music gives me more of an impact now than obviously the graphics. And it's the music that gives me the goosebumps when I play that game.
What is your favorite?
The thing everyone calls back to with CE is the silent cartographer so much. Even in the previews and everything they talked about today, it's a silent cartographer, and so much of that level is that intro with the music. And if the music wasn't so good, having 5 people, 5-6 people running next to you as you go and fight 10 enemies. It's really not epic. The music makes it epic. Yeah.
Yeah.
And the direction. The art direction in this game, from everything I've seen that you've shown, and I can start playing it, actually. I have the preview going along with this.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm a fancy bitch. I do have to...
I love this.
All right, we're going to be
AKA
muted 1
fancy
second
bitch.
until I unclick. Okay, we got sound again. There you go.
There we go.
How's it going, everyone? Yeah. I might have spent many hours setting all this up, but now it all just works.
I love it.
But yeah.
I love it. Yeah, I mean, I guess that's a good segue to talk about campaign previews. So I guess I will. You guys saw the preview, and hopefully the chat have seen my preview today. Spoiler alerts, best one out there. Totally. Honestly, I spent a long time
we can say no matter what, it is by far the most comprehensive one. I think that's an objective fact.
I did see ACG's. I don't know him.
His was another good one. Yeah,
he went really into town, but
yours was better, but yeah,
double the length. Well, the goal with mine was to, as a Halo fan, was to kind of capture and then provide the reassurance that if you are a fan of how Halo used to be, you will find warmth and comfort here in a very positive way. And I think that's the best way I could probably word it. I mean, I spent the whole week in every hour that I wasn't actually working, recording and playing and editing and trying to give something that really kind of doesn't spoil. So there shouldn't be any spoilers of any particular significance in the video, but just to give you a feel for the combat on Heroic. I did consider trying Legendary, but I wanted to have good combat, not me peeking from behind a box.
Today on IGN.
I saw
Legendary. Yeah. Oh, yeah, that looks hard.
Well, I've moved on a bit from the preview, and obviously I can't talk about it. But what I can say is, yes, it's very nice. I'm enjoying it.
It really is the beginning of the game.
Yes, is the word I can say. All
right, so let's ask
the beginning.
Let's ask a question that probably hasn't been talked about in any of the previews.
We did miss one part of the super chat.
Oh,
which
we did.
Was,
okay.
where do you want them to go for DLC?
Oh, that's going to be a really good time. Actually, I think that's going to tie into some things.
Yeah, you
want
to
pin in it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, let's come back to that one. So we will not forget that. But that's that gives us an
get to it.
Yeah, that's an excuse to get back to some things because Joseph Stain actually talked about that a little bit today. By the way, Mike, if you haven't read that article yet, you need to.
The Eurogamer one, it's really.
Yeah,
good.
I think he was specifically talking to you. I think he might have wrote that article to you. So me and Mike have had a lot of talks about Halo's campaign and whether they can pull off this openish world. But we're going to come back.
Many times I wanted to give you guys reassuring answers, but it would contain spoilers, so I haven't. But then Joseph Staten said a lot of it, so. Yeah,
so we're gonna read some of what he had to say and kind of talk about the future of Halo, because that is a thing. The one thing that Mike doesn't like that he says all the time is this is just the beginning. But there is some exciting things when you talk about that, right? Like because I look at that less as an apology for anything and more as a guys get excited because there's a lot of things we're going to do. But again, I'm going to get chasing that rabbit, and it's not time to chase that rabbit. So let me ask you this, John. So you got a chance to play some of the campaign, and you've been playing it on Heroic. I'm assuming you dabbled a little bit in Legendary or not?
No, normally it's an interesting one, and I have to be careful in what I say. I normally play through Heroic first when I play a campaign, and then I'll do the Legendary one. But the Heroic run is the one where I take it a little bit easier. I will, go off the beaten path. The Legendary run will be as quick as I can to the next checkpoint and avoid as many combat scenarios as possible, just to make the achievement unlocks. Because a lot of the time, Legendary is more of a grind. I think really the only Legendary that I felt was truly, truly fun was probably CE or 3. 2 was and 4 and 5 I didn't love the games campaign.
Did you ever get to do 5 with 4 people in Legendary?
Yes, great fun. I mean, if I was playing co-op, yeah, it's Legendary all the way because there's enough bullets in the air.
It was 100% designed for that. It really didn't work without at least 3.
That's a whole other story. But yeah, I've been playing through it on Heroic, and obviously I can only talk about the first 4 levels, but I haven't dabbled in higher difficulties yet, purely because I kind of want to get my first run through, get a grasp of the story, and then maybe I'll start experimenting. And it's worth saying that, I'll be playing along with everybody else. There's a part of me that doesn't actually want to finish it right now and wait until December 8th and kind of experience that joint joy of discovery with everybody else. There's something valuable in that, in my opinion. And it's the one thing that stings about co-op. That's the one thing that truly, truly stings. As I've been playing through what I have played, and we again, Joe Staten talks about that in his interview from earlier today. But it's the one thing that when I read that, I was like, I really, really am sad that it doesn't have it right now, because this world is built for it, in my opinion. So hopefully they come through and make good on that co-op promise, because there's a lot of future fun to be had.
Well, and to your point, I think we can see that. I mean, just the fact that we've had a chance to play, in big team battle and get a feel of the wide battlegrounds, and then you look at that, you can envision it, right? Like you can envision you and a buddy, if they do this right, and that's the whole point of them delaying it. If they do this right, allowing us to be able to strategize in ways, maybe that we haven't been able to do in really any sort of campaign-based co-op game, where you can get on, maybe you approach a base from different angles, right?
Yeah.
Things like that. And like even in Destiny, if I think about Destiny, it's more like when you're doing your missions, it's, more straight on, right? It's more linear.
Yeah, and you get pulled to each other after a certain amount of time. Like, a lot of the stuff they talked about trying to avoid are the issues that Far Cry 6 and even Destiny's co-op have.
Yeah.
Where you have to do the same thing unless you're in a patrol. But then even if you start up certain things, like you start up an actual mission, it's just going to pull everyone in there in a load screen. What's the progression like? Like, is everyone just going to be Master Chief, or is part of co-op? Because Joe Staten said like there were even some things that people hadn't thought of or they hadn't done before that they were looking into as well. And I really do wonder if that means the other people, Ursula's joined us, I'll put them in a second. The other people with you, what if they were the multiplayer Spartan just so you could look different? Or like, how are they going to figure out exactly how progression works with the whole upgrade system and Valor and all that?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
I'm going to get Soul in here, which means we'll be muted again for a second. 1 second. Boop. Boop.
Oh.
Boop. Okay, we're unmuted.
Hey.
We're unmuted?
Yo,
All right.
sorry for coming so late. I was getting ready to leave at the last moment. Someone walked through the door. I'm like, come on.
I love streaming.
We called in the drop. We called in the drop pod, and we didn't even need to use a ruck pack for it. So that's the other plus.
Landed fine.
We moved on from the ruck packs. Okay,
what do you think of my layouts, John? Works pretty well.
I was just admiring them actually, and it looks sweet. I like it.
Yeah.
StreamYard's the best.
Yeah.
All right, you may go, Abe.
Okay. All right. Cool. By the way, welcome, Sol. Good to see you, man.
Yo, good to see all of you guys. Good to see you here, John. I think this is the first time we've had you on for an episode, right?
It is. It's glorious. It's actually really nice to be here, because I felt mean, because Halo is like one of my favorite video games of all time, and then it was like, hey, we've got a Halo podcast. I was like, cool. and then they delayed the game, and I was like, it's another year. Another year of keeping secrets. Great. I love it.
We're asking John, we're talking to John about our Halo podcast. He's like, oh, sure, if you're into that kind of thing.
Halo? Take it or
old
leave it.
hat. Not even relevant anymore.
Yeah, for sure.
So good to see you. Me and So played, and Mike actually. All were,
And Don joined
Jesse.
too. Yeah.
We're in some big team battles yesterday, and it was nice to be able to play with all you guys and none of Soul's stupid rules. So that was a lot of fun. But welcome. so John, for people who don't know, Soul comes up with the worst custom game.
We had one community play night. Okay, you'll get used.
I liked them. I'm not gonna lie, I liked them.
Yeah.
That was
the rocket race.
The rocket race one was fun.
Yeah,
Rocket race was
right.
fun. The shotgun Halo CA one was hot dog shit.
That was interesting.
So, John, I want to go back to what I was asking you about with that. So, you're playing it on Heroic right now. You've played other games in Heroic. That's usually how you start off. Is it your suggestion for most people, if that's how they played it in the past, to start there, or would you go up or down? Because I feel like when I watch some of the videos, and maybe it's just because everybody only shows their best moments, generally it's looked kind of easy in the videos.
I just make it right. So here's what I would say is I have been playing Halo for 20 years. And the combat loop that you guys are all familiar with, and indeed anyone in the audience that loves Halo, is present and correct. They've done some unique things, like some new moves that catch you unawares. And as someone who's super familiar, you're like, oh, that was unexpected, and it's a delight. And it's like, oh, that's cool. Like, and jackals, right? You guys know the drill, and you can see it in some of the footage when I'm playing through. But you do the pop on where they're holding the shield, they pull back, you raise the reticle just a bit and pop them in the head, and then you move on, right? It's a nice, simple process. And I hopefully my memory is correct, but now they not only do that move, but they also do this move where they spin the shield up and make it, and it throws your muscle memory out. I'd love to chat to the design team at 343 when it came to that minor animation, because the functional elements of taking on a jackal are exactly the same as they ever were, but just that minor thing had to rewire my brain and change how the muscle memory would work. It's kind of unique in that way, and there's loads of little touches like that throughout the AI. But from a difficulty perspective, I've been playing for a long time, so I wasn't having trouble on Heroic, and I was playing very gung-ho but reserved to try and get good footage. There were plenty of deaths that I did not include. I did consider lying and saying one take, but no.
First try.
And they have said that normal is the set
intended game mode.
Yeah.
I saw that. That's why I thought
I saw a lot of people doing previews at normal and dying a lot in normal. And I was
really, huh?
I tried normal. I found it too easy. So I think anyone that's
but you're an
for a
esports
long
pro.
time.
What would kill you? 46
like,
in the world.
Are you like surrounded by enemies? Is that they just take you out?
They can do, yeah. They're a lot more. The brutes, especially, can be very aggressive depending upon what you've done. But there's just lovely little callbacks. Like, do you remember in Halo 3, you'd hit a brute and the hat would ping off, and you could get a headshot then? There's stuff like that that's still in there that just calls back to that kind of moment. But they have these, as well as their power armor, they actually do have shields as well now. You can see in some shots a brute might be red colored and he'll kind of stamp on the ground to activate it. And even just little touches where as you approach enemy combatants and they realize you're there, you'll see, like elites particularly, their shields will
that's cool.
It's
as
such
opposed
a nice touch.
to it's honestly, there's some lovely little touches in there that I absolutely adore. And there's going to be a lot of experimentation. You guys have all seen Mint Blitz. I mean, I can't wait to see the kind of I always saw something crazy from the Forerunners level, the Foundations level, the second level in the game, where he was using the bridges they came up to just bounce and grab lift and all kinds of crazy stuff. I'm like, how do you think this stuff up? But it's incredible. I can't wait to see the experimentation that comes out of the game. This
is a nice looking video game.
Yeah, it really is.
It is. And I loved this scene where, it was the real callback to lots of other Halos with the look at the light, please. Yeah. I did experiment. I was considering I might do like a YouTube short about what you do if you do nothing. He gives you a hilarious look. He's like, he doesn't say anything, but he's just like, dude, hello, dun, dun, dun. Anyone in there? It's quite amusing.
So let's continue to talk about. Let's finish covering some of the gameplay before we move on to some of that
Sure.
stuff. Within the sandbox, are you able to kind of share some of the evolutions of that, or maybe just like a moment or two that really stuck out to you, where it's like, hey, yeah, this is like CE or 3 in the wider environments, but evolved, right? Like, talk about the sandbox a little bit.
Okay, so there's lots of unique things. I have to be careful because there's some stuff that isn't in the preview, so I don't want to misspeak.
Hey, they showed teleportation portals in their own goddamn pre-gameplay overview. But I haven't seen any of them.
Did they? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, okay.
I'm gonna map.
I will be careful. Mm-hmm. So the really cool thing, the grapple hook changes the game, right? So, and you've seen people wax lyrical about this in the previews today.
Yeah.
They're not wrong. It feels like such a natural evolution. You kind of like, oh, this has always been here, because there's so many things that it just enables. So even just like you can see on the footage, just grabbing a fuel coil, but doing that mid-battle with, plasma flying overhead and your shields are down and you pull off some sort of crazy clutch, you reach behind the enemy, you grab it and you throw it. It feels incredible to do. And then outside of that, it's not just explosive coils. You've got electroshock coils and these kind of hard light coils with all these different energy types in that have different reactions. And then there's these giant versions that kind of explode and send out more stuff raining down. Yeah. So it feels very, very dynamic to play. It's a great sandbox. I think it's early days, but it's probably up there as one of the best Halo sandboxes. There's a couple of guns where you might be playing around with them in multiplayer. I know I am. And I'm like, ugh, to this gun. Right? Particular culprits might be the Bulldog and the
Pulse carbine.
No, it's the shotgun, the hard light shotgun with the reticle. You can make it horizontal or vertical. I can't remember the name.
Heat wave.
Heat wave. Thank you. Yeah. When you start to get to grips with them, they start to make a lot more sense. And I have a feeling I'll approach them in a different way as I've now been playing around in that sandbox. To how I'd use them in multiplayer. And it's depressing me because I haven't been able to sit down and play multiplayer really since Tuesday night because I've just been so busy doing this.
Yeah. And, holy crap. 5 videos, right? That's crazy. Dude.
I went for 6, but 6. I could still do it. I could grab the footage from the tower level, which is another level we're allowed to show. I might, if I get time this weekend, maybe kids are asleep or something. But yeah, I figured this was enough to wet everybody's whistle. And I edited out all the cutscenes and any spoilery bits, even the bits from the second and first level that we were allowed to show. I purposefully cut out because I think particularly the second level has quite a few story-related bits that start setting the stage that I was surprised they said we could include. But you would have seen them elsewhere. But if you're really trying to be careful, I think I've skipped them all. Yeah. In my
Jeff Gerstmann skipped every cutscene on Giant Bomb 2, so you could watch it.
That's awesome. And I appreciate people who do that, honestly.
Yeah. There's nothing worse than being spoiled.
It's
so cool.
Some moments are really cool on their own. Like, for example, you guys seen the ground pound videos? That's going around. It's really cool that I saw that, but it would have been really cool if I'm like, wait, I get this upgrade and what, this animation's amazing, that kind of thing.
Yeah. To be honest, you can look in the menu and it will tell you what it does. And
what it does is one thing. When I saw it in action, I'm like, whoa, okay, I didn't expect that.
Is cool. It's very, very cool.
Honestly,
I'm going to spoil it for all the chat.
Honestly, the animation in this game overall is just awesome. There's some issues with the frames of the animations, but like outside of that, the hit reaction from the brutes
feels really fluid.
Like that. The hit reaction from the enemies is one thing in particular that I've been noticing is you can shoot the feet of grunts, for example, and they'll kind of start tripping over and stuff like that. Like it's and there's really good hit reaction, whether you're hitting someone in a shoulder or a leg. It's
even in the multiplayer, right? I've had a death where I was in the air and someone shot me and my body starts like barrel rolling, like through the air until it hits the ground. I'm like, well, that was cool.
Yeah.
They have added some more of the animated physics that I feel like were more present in the first one. It is a callback to CE and physics in some ways, right? Or am I just imagining that?
Halo CE physics engine was basically based upon ovals that did that. Right, it was completely string and sellotape together, which is why the Warthog, particularly in CE, was this bouncy, ridiculous thing. Halo 2 introduced Havoc, and this to my knowledge, I don't know. This still uses an iteration of some sort of Havoc physics engine. I don't know whether it's now fully incorporated.
Well, Xbox owns Havoc, right?
They
do,
do.
Microsoft does own Havoc. Yeah. So, but yeah, you're absolutely right. In particular, satisfying is the Mangler, the brute Mauler cousin, the Mauler from Halo 3. It's like a cousin of the Mauler, the Mangler, and it fires these spikes that have this arc to them. So it's quite a short range gun, but you really feel every bullet as you're firing it. And watching the brutes react, if you hit them in the arm, they'll kind of fall back like that, or they'll stumble and scramble back up again. It really is very it's a stark difference to just bang, 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 bang. I'm just a stone wall. I will just take these bullets, my shields will pop, and I'll go, rah! It's very, very well done. And yeah, there are issues with the actual frame rates of some of the animations, climbing animations, and the cutscene transitions. You might watch the cutscenes and think they look great, and I think the cutscenes are incredible in this game. Like you guys ain't seen nothing yet. But Digital Foundry is correct, right? I feel like they often get a bit of a bad rap unnecessarily because you said something mean about my favorite video game, but they're not talking about whether they love it or not. And I think when they talked about do they love playing the game,
their actual video
really
was
positive.
Extremely positive. It was just their tweets and some forum posts that people saw first.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the thing. People infer and read into perhaps intent where there isn't any. But
do you mean Pegasus Nation cut out strategically cut out certain clips?
Of course they did.
Keep going.
But yes, hopefully those things get fixed. This is a preview version.
Yeah.
Although they went gold today, which I think they announced earlier on, they've still got 3 or 4 weeks. There's probably still a day one patch that's going to be imminent.
I mean, the Series S, right? It's definitely running at a lower thing than it should be. I feel like that. Hopefully, that's going to fix the launch too.
Yeah, I think in the beta or the flights, it's running.
Yeah, it's running 1080. It was running way better in the flights, and right now, this build when Digital Foundry tested it, it was 1080-30 and then 1080-60. Like it just
1080-30 in quality mode, 1080-16 performance, which is like what?
Yeah, it's definitely seemed buggy.
Yeah,
so I haven't had a chance to see everything today. So
yeah, so oddly enough, there is a 120 hertz mode for campaign on Series X. It really dips and dives, but if you got VRR, it's fine. But it's over 100 most of the time, which is really awesome. I had no idea. Around 1080, 1080 to 1440, but then Series S just seems like it's stuck at 1080-30, 1080-60, and it never wavers.
Yeah, something's wrong there for sure.
Yeah, definitely seems buggy. We'll have to see.
Yeah, and things can still happen in the last few weeks of development.
No, they can't. Everything's locked in forever.
I mean, if you watch the Halo 2 documentary, like I remember the developers in there, the ones that were basically, looked like they're on their last legs at the end of that development cycle. When they said like, "Hey, if we just had 2 more weeks, just 2 more weeks, we could, like that." Things come together. A lot comes together really late. So in AAA development, especially when they got new things going on. So. There could be some.
I've definitely learned a lot this year and last year with regards to AAA development. And that's why I try to frame things when I speak about it to the limited amount that I can speak about it. In that isn't hyperbole when someone says it really comes together in the last few months. It really comes together in the last few months. That's absolutely accurate, and you'd be amazed the differences that you'll suddenly spot, and you'll be like, "Oh my god, what a leap!" But there's lots and lots of people working super hard. I've had some incredible interaction with the team at 343, who, hey, guess what? Absolutely love Halo. absolutely want to make
Who'd
this
have thought?
the best Halo game you have ever played, with every intent to fulfill that singular purpose. And if you're one of those 343 haters, or if you're on the 343 defense force, which I'll now be accused of being on, don't do that. These guys are human beings. They're absolutely desperately trying to make the Halo game that you guys have always wanted to play. And
it's funny because this one really turned into, like, if you go back to our earlier shows, this game has ended up being everything I kept asking for. With like an open world Halo, with being able to like call in vehicles and find weapon recs, like the rec system, and now they get the variant system. One thing I noticed in this is also you don't get de-scoped in campaign when you get shot, huh?
Really?
Oh, I didn't even notice that.
Yeah, I've been watching people's previews. I have not noticed them getting Gersman on Giant Bomb is aiming down sights with a battle rifle, getting hit nonstop, never gets de-scoped. So I think they are separating campaign and multiplayer that way. Also, the only time you seem to go to third person, like press a button, is if it's starting a cutscene. Otherwise, things just activate without an animation of your hand going out and hitting it, which is a nice.
So I did see him just punch something. That was fun to see. I didn't see that before.
And that was like a cutscene. So
I loved that. In the first cutscene, it was like, we're locked out. What do we do? Can you?
Yeah, it's very Doom guy.
No, punch. Yeah, love it. Absolutely love it.
Have you guys talked about Chief being more talkative in this one yet?
No.
All right, well, we can cover that next, because that actually ties into like an interesting possibility. Because there's not just Chief talking, but let's kind of go into the story a little bit and start with the characters, the three: Chief, Nutana, and Brohammer, right?
Brohammer, yeah.
So let's talk about those three. And what's your impression so far? I know you've been trying to stay away from some of those spoilers, so we didn't get a chance. God, my cat is such an asshole when I'm on things like this. But
it's fine.
It's like he hears me, like whenever he hears me on a podcast sitting here, all of a sudden it's like, oh, it's time for me to get up.
I just close a door, and I've got a lock. I've got a bolt on the inside to prevent cats, children, and my wife from coming in. It's wise. But yeah.
Yeah, talk about those three. Like, what's just impressions? I know you don't want to give away too much.
Yeah,
so what's your impressions of that dynamic?
I tried to give you guys a flavor of this in my preview video, and certainly chat if you're watching now, go give it a watch afterwards, perhaps. But there is a lot of intrigue here. And look, I haven't finished Halo Infinite yet. All right, so I'm not speaking from a place of knowledge where I'm going to wink and smile. And
Jess said he finished it today.
Oh yeah,
did he?
Oh,
good for him. I'll be very curious to have a chat with him when I get there. But let's try and nutshell this for you. I think some of the characters are fulfilling a purpose, and the pilots is to show a real human side that you don't see necessarily from the Chief, who is very stoic. He's a man of few words. The pilot is terrified, genuinely terrified, and there's some stuff that occurs later on that gives you a little bit more insight into that and why. And I think it's probably the most interesting aspect so far for me to where I am, which is just those 4 preview missions. Where I am in Halo Infinite, I love this. I think the voice actor, who I can't remember the chap's name, but he's done an incredible job of being likable. No one likes to root for a coward, but it's kind of like Pippin in Lord of the Rings. You like him even though he's a bit of a wuss and he's scared, because you'll find your courage somehow, and I think that is the pilot's journey that we're going to see, finding his courage back despite everything he's been through, and and then New Cortana, she's an interesting one for me. I feel she's a little bit overly cutesy.
There's a word for it.
Twee is the word I used in my preview.
Eccentric.
You guys have played It Takes Two?
Not yet. No,
not yet.
Okay, so there's the little girl Rose in that game. And she's twee. She's like, "Oh, mummy, daddy, everything's fine." New Cortana reminds me a little bit of that, but every now and then, you got to remember, she's based on Halsey's brain, right? She's designed to infiltrate and delete Cortana. Every now and then, you'll get these little hints of that aspect of her personality, and they start to come through. And obviously, I muted a lot of the cutscenes and I skipped a lot of stuff, so you guys won't see that. But you can just get some little hints, and it's like I am intrigued. I don't know if I like or love her as a character yet, but I do want to know what is going on here, because there's lots of unanswered questions. I think in the publicly released footage, she says, "Hey, it's been 6 months. Da, 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 da." What's going on there? What's happening? We don't know. There's a lot to find out. But the chief himself, to go back to your original point, yes, I would say he's definitely a little bit more talkative. I don't want to say more than that, because the things I do want to say, I would probably consider diving into spoiler territory. So I'm not going to.
So on that note, because you did mention in the preview that you did that, by the way, excellent preview once again.
Brown nose.
You did mention, like, as a potential negative, and you weren't the only one. I think Miranda mentioned this too in the IGN, and was that it does feel like you do, like, coming into this without any background. You don't maybe get as much out of it, or like they're expecting a little bit out of it. But then I was reading Staten today, and Staten was actually saying, like, this is supposed to be a big mystery, kind of like CE. You don't need to have the background. Yeah. So is that maybe I guess and I'll try not to like lead the witness here or anything, but is it possible that there's just maybe because we know about the story, we look at things and, we're kind of coming to it with different expectations potentially? Or could you see this being a little overwhelming for somebody new, or to kind of go, yeah, this is
genuinely, yes. I do think that they still lean a little hard on everything that came before. Okay. Right. But look, the chief has been around for 20 years. Yes, you could start this game. There's a couple of ways I'd approach this. One, I still think that the game could have used an ODST style intro, just a brief one. Cool. You've got enough great music. Use some music and just be like, the year is da 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 da, following da 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 da, and just high level. Just
like the text, right?
Just give them a Star Wars intro, and then start it. I think that would be beneficial for people that, because I have friends IRL, believe it or not, and they were like, "Oh, dude, sort of preview, hey, will this make more sense to me than Halo 5 did? Because Halo 4 and Halo 5 particularly were very reliant on lore and books, and that you might not have read, and stuff happened off screen in comic books and crazy stuff like that." And the answer is fundamentally, yes, you will have an easier time. I think I touched on this as well. Whilst I agree that they still rely too much on that prior knowledge, I was still asking the same questions I remember asking in 2001. Because you think about it, you think back to CE. All I need to know, Cortana, is did we lose them? Who? What? Why we make a blind jump? Why are we here? What is this ring? What is going on? We didn't know a thing, and yet now we take it all for granted.
I did. I read the book before it came out.
All right.
Of course you did.
One of the very few.
You're scouring the internet for.
We were all lazy, like that's some sort of positive.
But yeah, I think for Infinite, it was evoking similar questions. I was like, okay, so this happened, and now we're here, and a significant period of time has passed. You got to remember that's public knowledge. That Pelican. When he woke up, the pilot, he was clean shaven and hair like mine. Right, and then they do that great cutscene where we watch the battery go down on his device with his family recording on it, and then he's got an admirable beard and a full head of hair. That's a significant period of time. So there's mystery here straight away that you're like, what is going on? So I think in that
biggest mystery, if I can cut you off real quick, the biggest mystery is for that many months, where did he go to the bathroom?
What did he eat?
Yeah.
How did he avoid the banished? And then the 1 minute he's got the chief online, they're like, "Hey, found you."
Well, technically, you could probably say he used his Pelican's power to grab the chief.
Oh, and that's what registered the banished.
Well,
on the
he actually
servers.
used the
right.
chief. He did something like that cutscene is like him powering everything back
Yeah.
up. And that probably is what makes him light up for them.
Yeah, I can see 9 foot UT. The weapon kind of seemed like a bridge for new players. Maybe I'm wrong though. Do you know what? I actually think that the weapon could be that. I'm leaning more towards the pilot personally. He does not want to be in this scenario at all, and he makes it very, very clear. Whereas the weapon is there to do a singular job, and then somehow is still around after it. So there's lots and lots of mystery here, just like in CE. And you know the game is taking us through that journey to find them. And I guess the other character, which I don't think you mentioned out of the trifecta, and is the one that I think is exceptionally well written thus far, is Escharum himself, and I guess the Banished as a whole.
That guy is an excellent voice actor. He did Samuel Hayden in Doom Eternal. He does Reinhardt in Overwatch.
So is he like a
very,
regular
very
presence in the game, Escharum?
Again,
I guess we're getting to spoiler territory,
Yes,
right?
he's the big bad.
He's the
so
bad
I
guy.
would imagine, he's the main bad guy.
He's
Yeah,
like
but
Darth
he's-
Maul, right?
he's
I've
the
read
leader
some-
of the Banished.
I've read some books, seen some movies where the big bad only appears like the last little bit, you know. So
Yeah, I mean,
In these, even in the preview John put up, like you see.
yeah,
Pretty
I see
early.
holograms and stuff. Yeah,
yeah, and he you know, certainly in the bits I've played thus far, you know, that's kind of the interactions you've seen with him, right? Is just via those holograms. But yeah, you're absolutely right, Jesse. The voice actor and just the menace behind the lines, and the script itself is also great. Like really, I mean, the only one where I'm kind of like, not for me, is the weapons lines on occasion. But you know, I think she's there to be that kind of naive, slight comic relief, which is originally what I thought the pilot was going to be, kind of funny. And pilot's not funny at all. He just does not want to be there. It's just they've really done a great job from a story perspective. If
in these
you're a
first
Halo
4
fan.
missions.
Yes.
So this is him grabbing an armor core here on the screen.
Yes, yeah, absolutely
Upgrade,
right.
yeah.
So you and just that moment
That was really cool.
put in the
yeah.
hand. I mean, I
Yeah.
loved it. I mean, whoever thought that up, like
That was really
just
cool.
that moment of respect for his fallen comrade.
And then
It's
straight to flinging things at people.
yeah.
It's like
I mean, I thought he
E3.
killed his Marines to take their guns. I mean, no, I'm just kidding.
I played with Dan during the extra live stream, and that's like he's just murdering everyone. It's like you can just hold X and take their gun. You didn't
be honest,
have the
that's-
battle rifle he had.
That's a viable tactic. You take
if
a
you're a
rocket launcher and you give
sociopath.
it to the Marine, and they've got infinite ammo rocket launcher. You know, you just have to hope the AI holds up for a while.
Yeah. Well, that is. Oh, I guess we'll get to that later, but that is one of the reasons that the game was delayed. Was for things like Marine AI.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah, we
Stan went pretty
definitely,
deep on that.
yeah, we definitely need to touch
It
on
wasn't
that.
all graphics.
No, and we kind of knew that, right? But yeah, he definitely talks about some of the design changes. So just to kind of stay on the story just for a little bit longer before we moved over to some of the other gameplay stuff. Yeah, I mean, as somebody who hasn't read the spoiler or who hasn't got into all the details of the spoilers and things like that, you know, one of the things I was thinking about when I saw Nutana, I agree. Like initially, she came across as really cheesy, but I think that, I mean, to me, it seems intentional, and that's because my expectation, I think a lot of how she lands is going to be her development and growth over the game. You know, like does she become? Because I think then you'll really feel this you know, major you know, if she grows up, you'll feel that, right? It'll become
She's
like
already growing on me as I'm playing through. She's growing on me more and more. But it's you know, it's just the initial thing. Maybe it's a friend. It's probably not though, is it? It's probably not a friend. It's probably a bad guy. You know, the lighting kind of indicates bad guy. But yeah.
Well,
she's kind of like she's kind of like a newborn, right? In terms of like how AIs are. Like she's
Kinda,
like,
but you know, they are IQ of several thousand. But
Right.
yes,
Yeah.
real world experience is
Yeah.
where she's lacking, and I think that does come across. So yeah, it's written very purposefully, and it's not bad. It's just maybe not to my personal taste, but she is growing on me.
You know, you remind me of like, even for example, that first speech we had of Eshram, right? I feel like people got caught up in the visuals during that speech because the speech itself was great. Like it was really well written. The music was on point, and it was pretty, like, I watched it again after, like, way back when it happened. I'm like, okay, this is hype, you know. So if that's what like the writing's gonna be like, then I'm pretty excited.
Yeah.
You couldn't see past his face though.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did catch the one part though. He did say, Staten did say, it is a mystery story. You know, you are paired with the AI companion. So I think there's going to be a lot of things that we all discover together at the same time, whether you played Halo or not. Hopefully they can land some of that stuff, because I think essentially that's what's going to make or break the story, right? Like how they.
Baby.
You can have a lot of great seasons of a show, but then you lose George R.R. Martin for the last couple, and it just goes to shit. So you know that landing.
Oh yeah, because his version of the books has done so. Oh wait, it still doesn't fucking exist.
So that can make all the difference. All right, I want to because I've been talking a lot to John. You guys, especially if you jumping in here, what other questions you have about some of the things we touched on?
What's the ending, John?
Yeah.
The ending is the fade out from Mission 4.
Damn.
That's it. That's all I'm allowed to talk about, and I haven't got anywhere near the end yet. So
yeah.
Have we talked about the bosses yet? I'm really curious about that, and how the 343 went and made what was originally one of the weakest parts of the Halo series into apparently one of the strengths.
No, we haven't talked about the bosses yet, and I suppose it's a good time to do so. Yeah. So I can talk about 2.
Yeah, Tremonius and the Gok and 2 Smoking Barrels Elite.
Chocklock.
Oh,
yeah.
Chocklock.
So this guy Tremonius, he wasn't too tricky to dispatch, and the one mission I didn't do a video on was the tower, which is where you face off against this active camo elite, and you just get the threat sensor as an equipment piece.
That's cool.
You didn't put an ending on this video. Look at that, it's just green boxes.
Hey, it was running. I was running on empty here, man. I'll let you adjust that later on. But yeah, the bosses I think are actually a minor stroke of genius, because first-person shooter bosses are usually rubbish. I don't think I'm going out on a limb here to say that, right? These are bosses, but they're just souped up enemies. But what they do is they've got very unique movesets that normal enemies don't, and they pack a punch, and they're just super tanked up. So you really have to think, how am I going to take this guy on? And when I first fought against Chocolate, let's call him Chocolate, the elite called Chocolate. When I first fought against Cadbury, Hershey's was very, very determined to kill me, and he did so efficiently and quickly, because the game was saying it was still we're still in tutorial land 4 episodes in, because at least that was my impression, because they were like, new Cortana was in my ear going, Chief, use your threat sensor, because in campaign, when they're active camo, the radar goes out and you can kind of see where they are to land some shots on them. And I'm embarrassed to say, and hey, 343.
Like right, and then the 4 D-pad things, right?
Yes. So it's kind of like you have to press the button corresponds to adjusting the equipment, and then the button for the direction of whatever equipment you want to select. It initially, and I didn't realize, because I was so zoned in, and it was probably 2 a.m. at one of these points. And I was sitting there going, threat sensor, I don't have time to figure that out. I've just got to kill this guy. So the first time I fought against him, I was just trying to do it using the grapple, and I was dying around like Batman, shooting down when I could see him, and it was really, really hard. Once I got the threat sensor, it became a little easier, but he packed way more of a punch than Tremonius did, and that's all I can talk about from a boss's perspective right now. But yes, I think they're a great addition. They don't outstay their welcome. They come at a time, and they give these guys a pretty cool intro most of the time, and you're like, oh Lord, this is going to be hard. And especially when you're in this kind of arena environment, and they have backup via normal banished floating around, it can lead to some very challenging scenarios. So I think Halo veterans that love that combat loop, they're going to have a fun time with this.
That sounds awesome. Yeah, a lot of potential, and I think it's because of the sandbox. I got to keep saying that word because it pisses me
There's
off.
one thing that probably, for anyone who hasn't watched all the previews a lot, is the way ammunition works now, where plasma weapons refill. If you go over a weapon, you don't have to pick it up to get a 70%. You can just take that and fill up.
And I like that. Yeah.
That makes sense. Yeah.
There are also stockpiles around where you can just walk up and refill your ammo type: kinetic, plasma, and was it hard light?
Yeah, they're not permanent. There's kinetic, plasma, and I presume there'll be hard light, and I presume there'll be electric,
like explosive.
electroshock.
Oh, electric, yeah.
Because those are the full weapon types that are in the multiplayer.
Hard light,
so that's what I presume.
Hard light would be the cannon.
Heat
that we
wave
have
and
in
cinder
multiplayer.
shot.
Oh, and heat wave. Yeah. Okay. The purple thingy. I got this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but real quick, I gotta ask: are you able to turn off the health bar stuff with the bosses, or can you say?
Not that I know of.
Oh.
And
We'd
honestly,
see it in the options now if we could.
honestly, I don't think you want to. It is nowhere near as egregious as you feel it might be. They're more of a call out to say, because let me put it in a different way. Do you find that there's nothing worse than tanky enemies and you don't know how close you are to kill them?
God.
Yeah.
From a
Monster
design
Hunter.
perspective, what I would describe it as is when you're looking at your own shield meter at the top and watching it deplete. It just happens to be above them, and it isn't distracting at all.
Yeah.
And if anything, it's like
once the shield's down.
the white one's gone as soon as the shield's gone, and then you're just channeling into the red. And I would certainly say that there have been plenty of occasions where I'm like, 6 more bullets is all I need. And honestly, I can't imagine a world where I'm like, I have no idea how close I am to killing this dude.
Yeah,
It would drive
makes
me
a lot of
nuts.
sense.
So
Especially if you get in harder difficulties. I mean, I'm thinking about that. That it would be a bad idea, Mike. Like, anybody's playing Dark Souls.
I would
game.
still.
Like,
Can you imagine playing a Dark Souls boss and never?
Don't get me
knowing
wrong,
how
like-
close you are to-
Don't get me wrong. Like maybe whenever I'm playing it, I'll see it in a different way. But I think I would still prefer the option, even with that. Just and I don't know. Maybe in the middle of combat, it's different. But like it just seems like the damage is visually communicated so well already that I would be okay with it. But I don't know how much of a bullet. I don't want to say bullet sponge in a bad way, but I don't know how many bullets you have to put in them.
Chalklock took a lot more than Tremonius from what
yes, he does.
Okay.
Yeah.
So maybe
is the first one, right? Or the first one
Tremonius
you're allowed to
was
talk
the one
about.
it's the one we just saw that John killed. He didn't do Choco Taco yet.
It's like the intro, like the intro boss, right?
Mhm.
Yeah. So almost okay. So it's gonna get a lot more than that. Okay.
Yep.
All right.
So yeah. I mean that could be a thing where not every boss is going to be able to visually tell because like the brute is one thing, but I didn't think about the elite. The elite doesn't really have the same type of damage.
Well, I mean, you
that
can
you
tell
get out of a-
Spartans in multiplayer. It's very obvious when their shields are down or how close they are.
Yeah,
They've done a great
yeah.
job at that.
I think the difference though is when their shields are down, any Spartan in multiplayer and indeed an elite and any other normal enemy is one headshot away from death.
Yeah.
That is not the
Okay,
case with the
okay.
bosses. They
Makes
really
sense.
do tank shots. And maybe I get it, Mike. I don't disagree with you. I think from a presentation point of view, from an immersion point of view, I wouldn't mind that as a toggle, especially like you imagine if photo mode kicks in and that bar's just always there. That would drive me mad.
Oh,
I'm sure it won't be. It will be classified as HUD information, but maybe that's something they can add later on. But
it would be cool if it was actually a little hologram shooting out of their back just because they're so confident. They're like, here, you can see my shield level. You fuck
like a
face."
reverse Dead Space.
Oh my god.
Yeah, maybe.
All right.
Dead Space got FPS boosted. For anyone who's wondering.
Yes.
what is?
Just
Dead
2
Space.
and
Dead Space
3.
1 and
Yeah,
3.
not 1.
Oh yeah.
Wait, not
Yeah.
one?
Not 1. right?
No, it's 1. I thought
No,
it was-
one,
no,
two,
and
not
three,
1,
not
not 1.
two-
2 and
or
3.
2 and 3.
Yeah.
Sorry. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah. All right, off topic. All right, so the reason why I had that blue screen of death face on a minute ago is I was trying to read through what I
That's
was
your
going
normal
to cut.
face.
Yeah, oh yeah, but it's true. But I was trying to figure out what I was going to cut out of what Staten was saying because I think this will set up the next thing I want to talk about.
One sec. I
go ahead.
one last really quick question to John.
Oh, yeah.
Keep them at
Did
me
you-
in chat
did you-
as well. Throw questions.
Yeah. Did you try Legendary at all when you played?
No.
Okay.
No, I haven't.
If you were
yet.
here earlier, you would have known that. So
Okay. All right.
You want to see Legendary? Go watch Destin's video on IGN.
He has it. Okay, I'll give that a shot.
Friend of the site, Destin.
So something we're definitely going to need to talk about is the progression. I think that progression is like the new sprint, at least on the surface level. This Halo, it seems to be the area where there's most contention, anxiety. After some of the initial reveal came out and they showed the map with the icons, I think a lot of people out there, and we discussed it here too, but there's a lot of people out there that were very concerned. Is this a bit, Ubisoft? Because that does take something away. Like anybody who's played those types of games, I know that a lot of people do adore that, but it doesn't necessarily fit in with the Halo flow, right? Like Halo tends to not waste your time. It does a good job with when it's at its best. I think most people feel that it does a good job, changing the pacing, changing the tones, and the fact that you're not always at one note is why those campaigns continue to hold up, even when they have repetitive assets, right? So I'm going to read this thing, this section from Staten in the interview that he had with the Eurogamer that came out today. And I wanted to try to shorten it up so I wasn't reading too long, but I don't know that I can cut out anything here. So I'm going to go through all this, and then I'm going to turn it over to you, John, to kind of comment on it a little bit more. But he says, well, one of the things, I think the first thing that we did is not actually try to make an open world game. The way that I think you traditionally understand open world games, I love playing open world games. I'm playing through Far Cry now, and he loved Assassin's Creed, so I know that scares everybody here. But our goal is not to drive lots and lots of hours of player engagement with systems that encourage players to play for a long time in our game. We don't have a crafting system, for example. I don't think crafting is really appropriate for Halo. So he talks a little bit about that. He says, so for us, as a Halo game, those kinds of systems didn't make sense, just thematically. But we also want to create an experience where players didn't have to spend dozens and dozens of hours to complete the story. One of the great sadnesses for me as a game developer is looking at historical data of how many people actually finish Halo games and who actually finish games that they start. And guess what? It's really low. We really wanted to do as much as we could to encourage people to finish the game, and that meant making sure that it wouldn't take too much time. And then if you're enjoying the linear story, that golden path, as we call it, through the game, that the game was very clear to you as a player. Hey, this is where you need to go next to follow the thread of the story. Now we're going to tempt you along the way. We're going to tempt you along the way off the golden path with this cool banished war base that's making noises, or this red smoke on the hilltop where Marines are waiting to be rescued. Where did I hear this in some Reddit leak before? But anyways, if you choose to do none of those things, that's okay. You don't need to worry about. You don't need them to progress. You can just continue along the golden path. You don't have to worry about all the other loops and game systems that are required to make progress. Halo Infinite has none of those things that you would see in a typical open world game. This is simply the most expansive, wide open Halo we ever made. But the important part is that it's still a Halo game. Then he said, well, one last part of this, and he says, and this was asking about the icons on the map, the thing that, again, I think that kind of drew the attention of a lot of people. He says, I hear you. And in our user research tests that we've done with other player feedback, we've gotten feedback from people who've played open world style games and see that map and they see icons and immediately go into this mode like, well, I guess I got to do all that stuff if I'm going to finish the game. This is the first time we made a game like this, and we look toward other campaign experiences in the future. We're going to take a lot of learnings from this and tune our system, because we don't want players to look at the map and feel like, I got a lot of work to do. We really want players to look at our map and say, wow, there's all this stuff I could do if it seems interesting, but I don't have to do any of that. If I just want to continue the story and play through, I can do that and be successful. There's no progression system or leveling that I need to do that's hard blocking me from entering any of these dungeons or making it impossible for me to complete them. Halo Infinite has none of those things. If you want to walk the golden path, you can absolutely do it. So anyways, that's kind of in a nutshell. I wanted to include all of that because, even those little, he kind of repeats himself on some of the stuff, but it really, like, it's those details, right? So I want to turn it over to you, John. You've had a chance, and now I know you can only talk about the first 4 levels and things like that, but talk about the progression system. Did you come into this with any of that trepidation as well? That, being honest, I did. I did. But what were some of your feelings come in, and what do you feel like now?
So, again, I think I tried to alleviate these fears in my preview because I equally had them. I do not like open world games usually. I think the last open world game I finished, and funnily enough, I saw it coming up in the chat earlier, was Phoenix, which was an Ubisoft game, but it was fun and lighthearted and arcadey, not serious face open world game. So let me try and think how I want to word this. Joe is absolutely correct that there is you can ignore everything and just play a straight Halo game. I mean, as a Halo fan, I guarantee you won't want to. You will want to go off the golden path because we've all dreamed about walking around an open world Halo ring since we played CE. Mm-hmm. So, yes, there are things to find in the map, but they're usually things of use, not things of pointlessness, busy work, for want of a better phrase. So let me try and give you some nuggets of info. So one, hidden throughout the map are Mjolnir armor lockers, which unlock cosmetic armor for your use in multiplayer.
The most important aspect of the game.
I thought I would share this with you because I know and I see a lot of the grumbling about the slow. When we talk about progression, I thought you were going to bring up the battle pass and multiplayer, but I suppose that's a different type of progression. But there's a lot of grumbling, including from me. I don't like that I don't have like more than 1 or 2 Spartan armors to fool around with in multiplayer. It bugs me. So when I started unlocking them, there was a small part of me that's like, I'm going to be able to take these armors into the multiplayer, and everyone will be like, where did you get those? And I'll be like, I've been playing the campaign. Alas, they've disconnected the campaign from the multiplayer for now, so I can't. But the good news is playing through the campaign will have that extra incentive, and I think that's great.
Oh, nice.
Because you will get exclusive armors for going off the beaten path.
Oh,
Great way of doing it.
That's really cool.
And one data mine thing was that they're like also tied to achievements too. It's not just finding them. Like actually completing the story and getting the achievement should unlock some cosmetic items.
That's
correct. So there's that element, and then the other things that I've found so far, and I can talk about them because they're within the Zeta Halo exploration piece. There are audio logs across the UNSC and the Banished that fill in a lot of backstory about insert spoiler here and about other spoiler there. That I'm listening to, and I'm like, oh my god, what happened here? And and you start to just go down this journey and piecing this together. And you can listen back to them at any time. And then we have FOBs, which are these mini outposts, and these are the closest thing that immediately cause concern to that Ubisoft template, right? The tower that you climb. I can now unlock this part of the map. And that's not really what they're for. They're mostly there for fast travel. But to Joe's earlier point, and I don't think you've actually come to this, but I guess I'm going to just use it as an example. When he talked about what he did when he joined 343 following the delay, he talked about that there was a long period of time where the chief was out there on his own. Yeah. And one of the wonderful things about Halo, and we were discussing it earlier, was you take Marines with you, you give them the really big gun, they've got infinite ammo now, and you just try and keep them alive. Lots of us do that, right? Try and keep them alive for as long as possible through hell.
Unless you need to kill them for the gun, but
unless you need to kill them for ammunition. We've all done a legendary run where that's had to happen. Yeah. So there's that aspect to it as well. And what the FOBs have done is, as soon as you've captured one, you get some Marines who are guarding that outpost, and you can start to call in equipment. And as you unlock more and more of these FOBs throughout the game, and you take action to save Marines, etc., you'll unlock more valor. whatever, insert your currency here, but you don't have to spend it. But what it does do is when you're at a fob, you can say, I want a warthog instead of a mongoose and stuff like that. So as you grow that out, it makes your combat scenarios and the things you want to experiment with in that giant, wonderful Halo sandbox far more interesting than just you on your own with a gun. You can start to pull in different vehicles and arm up Marines, different things like that make that busy work not feel like busy work at all. And there's the beauty of the fact that this is Halo combat we're talking about. Even a minor outpost is a delight to just take out, because the 30 seconds of fun gameplay loop kicks in, you clear it out, you press the button, it's secure, great. And then you've got a fast travel point or a spawn point if you want to go back and start clearing things out. There's some other stuff, but I'm now thinking, did I get a little bit further and do I not want to say that? So I'm not going to. But there's nothing at all remotely. All my fears evaporated as I started to play. There's lots of Easter eggs hidden out there. There's lots of funny little conversations between grunts if you catch them.
People have found Craig.
Yeah,
Craig's out there. I think I genuinely, and look, I put the disclosure in my preview. I didn't put it in the video, funnily enough, but I did put it on the written article. As someone that's been working with 343, there is a big conflict of interest from a objectivity point of view for me reviewing this, which is why I'm not. Jesse is going to do the review on this one, but the way it all worked out was great that I got to do the preview, because I got to communicate a little bit of my love for Halo, which there was a part of me that was sad I wasn't going to do it, because I like to think I can remain objective, and I'm not going to say that this. And I don't know yet if this is going to be the best Halo game of all time. What I think I can say unequivocally at this point in time, based on what I've played, and bear in mind I have played more than the first 4 missions, is this is the best 343 have ever done.
Okay.
And the best way I can put it is Halo 4 and Halo 5 lost what made Halo fun, in my opinion. They got away with it, but it lost a little of the magic. Halo Infinite brings that magic back.
Me and Mike agree with you, John. But just so you know, Jesse,
especially when it comes to the campaign.
Yeah, Jesse.
Don't get me wrong. I still like Halo 4 and 5, and I actually think 5 has some incredible level design and encounters. And I love the moveset and everything that 5 brought, and I love the multiplayer. I still do. Yeah. But I'm old. And Halo's in my blood, and playing Infinite, when you play the multiplayer, you've already got a feel to a degree for the combat, but when you get out there, when you step on that ring, when you face off against the Banished, when you hijack a Banshee out of the sky, when you grab a ghost and start pummeling them, you'll know exactly what I mean. I think any Halo fan will know exactly what I mean when you play it. And I can't wait for everybody to be at that point. I can't wait for December 8th. It's going to be
a lot of celebration. Holy crap. Do you guys remember when I brought this up last podcast. I'm going to say it again. Do you guys remember when we were like, where's the campaign footage? We know nothing. And now it's all here, and it's almost
all over the place.
All over the place.
Oh man!
And every preview is positive. I didn't see one that wasn't pretty positive. Mostly very positive.
That's surprising. I thought this was going to be divisive to some extent. I thought even if I was going to love it, I thought it was going to be divisive. And
I did too, to be honest.
Same with the multiplayer. And you mentioned that, by the way, John. As soon as you said it, you've all played the multiplayer, I was like, oh, that's right. As soon as I can get this thing over with, I can turn back around,
straight back into the multiplayer.
But it's a crazy thing because Jeff Grubb has talked before, he's not a big Halo guy.
Yeah.
And he's in love with it. He's really enjoying it. And Jeff Gerstmann is very tough on games. And he's like, yeah, this is by far the most fun I've had in a
I'm debating.
You get a weapon charm. You spent 200 pounds for a weapon charm.
Wait. You get a weapon charm with that thing?
Yeah.
You get that thing as a weapon charm.
You guys see my background
off of your gun.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
did we lose
Sikamikanico froze.
I'm still here. You guys see my background? I got that too, but I'm not sure if I should open it.
So, John almost looked like a Promethean right there. It's like we're running at 20, at less frames per second. Oh yeah, go ahead, Mike.
On the topic of all that stuff, so okay, Now I never had anxiety when it came to the combat loop or anything like that. That I had faith in.
Yeah.
Like that, and that's one of the
complain about the battle pass in the background there.
Oh, that was good. So like, because the 343 is, I think, nailed the feel of the combat since 4. Like that was one of the things. So when you unlock, when you take over a fob, and then it unlocks the icons and stuff, are those everything? Because one of the things from like especially the early blog posts, they said they wanted to bring back like the sense of exploration and discovery. How much is that impacted from how much is revealed on the fob? Is there stuff that's not on there that you still get that moment of like discovery?
Yeah, 100%.
Okay.
It will ping things in a vicinity of it, but it won't. I don't think it pings everything, because I've certainly found things where I'm like, I'm not that far away from this thing. Like this icon's here. Why isn't this one? And you've got a constant radar pulse. And it does make discovery a little bit easier, so you don't blindly search every nook and cranny, like spending hours and hours. You can just hit up on the D-pad, and if you're in range, you might get like a little indication of there's something here, and you can go off and try and find a way to it. But no, I don't believe unlocking a fob shows every icon that's available, and you can just A to B. Right, done that area, next.
That's great news.
Okay, yeah, because that was one of my concerns of like whether or not you can filter the map icons just to show like the main missions, or if you can't, whether or not it unlocked everything. Because to me, following an icon isn't really discovering or exploring. You're like following an objective, and I really want to be able to just explore this area, these worlds, these islands, whatever you want to call them, and still
stumble across something unique.
Yeah, because the best example I can give is playing ODST. The impact that it would have if all of the superintendent journals or whatever were on the map. But like versus you coming across it and seeing this, this phone booth lit up and shooting out coins, and then you discovering it, and that's good to.
It reminds me a little bit of in the opposite direction of Ghost of Tsushima, right? It had this pretty cool mechanic where you could have wind guiding you, but you'd always have the wind, right? You didn't need to search for anything on your own because you could always tell exactly what's right next to you. So it kind of removed a little bit of the exploration aspect there, and it's nice to hear that there's still some exploration infinite.
Trust me, there's lots to explore.
Okay,
awesome.
Okay.
That
Have you fallen off the ring yet?
Yes, funny enough, about an hour before I came on this podcast. I fell off, and I was like, just spiraling in space. The game's still going right now. I'm just out in space trying to grapple something. But yeah, no, I have.
See, if you had thruster, you could give yourself that momentum to go fly right back to it.
Maybe you'd see James.
Well, and John, you said some exciting things there too, because I didn't even think about that, and I'm tying it back in with some of the things that have leaked out. Well, not leaked, but like people are showing off. Because to answer that question about the exploration, people have been showing, so even though you're not required to do to upgrade your grapple shot for the campaign, it will help you upgrading. It will help you explore, right? Or reach an area that you couldn't reach before.
The Golden Path will give you equipment unlocks. That's where you get your threat sensor and your all of that jazz. But the Spartan cores can be found across the TAC map. And some of them you'll immediately discover if you unlock a fob, and some of them you will just stumble across, and they usually make thematic sense. They're not just, here's a box with a Spartan core. Oh, there's a downed pelican, and there's a story to be told in amongst the bodies, and such and such. They're usually told in that kind of way. And then when you get like the electroshock when you grapple an enemy, it's really useful. It doesn't work on every enemy, worth saying. But there's more
little
stuff.
Grunts you just killed.
I know, they were just having a chat.
You didn't even kill the first one. He just fell off. He probably broke
if you
his
look at this
ankle and he's
footage
just
right
down there
now,
crying.
Yeah.
If you look at this footage, just before I jump and I turn the camera and you look down in the canyon, you'll see a little green box. I kind of just miss it as I jump across.
Mhm.
But that's not on the
Yes,
map. But there it is down there in the left.
Ah.
I didn't even see that like, until I
Oh.
watched this footage back because I was so intent on making
Look
this
at you, made
film.
Mike smile.
You have no idea. The
Yeah,
whole
this sounds
sense of
amazing.
exploration and discovery, that I wasn't concerned about it. That was my only concern when it came to like the Far Cry type icon map thing. I want to be able to explore and discover and naturally just like experience the environments, and it's
That is one thing that Ubisoft has actually addressed in the recent Assassin's Creed and Far Cry is you can set them to exploration mode instead of give me a waypoint mode. It gives you an area, and then you still find things within an area. So they agree with you.
Just watching this footage, so I went and was like, I'm going to take out this super grunt Briglard, and I was really excited that he's got a modified plasma pistol. This is super, super interesting. And then he appeared, and I was like, there he is. And there he's gone. It was just a normal. It cracked.
There's no
me
yap
up.
yap.
Yeah, I headshotted him. I was like, oh, that's the end of that guy. But and again, here's another little unique quality that I love that they've done here. These kind of high value targets, like named targets, are I think Nutana uses the phrase UNSC's most wanted, and I'm like, a grunt, but they often have these modified weapons, and when you defeat them, those modified weapons become selectable at a fob.
That's
Those
cool.
are the variants.
And then you get these variants that are then available at any fob you unlock, and it's just adding to that. I'm going to go on this mission. I'm going to take this gear with me. I'm going to go out. I'm going to try and succeed. I'm going to try something different. I can just see so much life and challenge being wrought from this.
Was that you fast traveling right there?
No, that was me. The original edit of this video, I did two different fobs, and then I literally reread the embargo guidelines over and over and over because I get paranoid about this stuff, right? And I realized I'd included 2 fobs in my exploration, and it said one of these activities. And I was like, okay. And I quickly went and played this mission and just recorded this again just to get some cool gameplay on Heroic again. And it's funny, right up until last night at about 1 a.m., there was a campaign preview, the same video, where I included 2 seconds of the end of a cutscene to set up a shot. And then I reread it and I was like, I do not want to get wrapped on the knuckles because it was quite clear, and it was from.
You don't want to be the only person that puts up a video that has a bunch of stuff they're not supposed to.
True. So I was like, nope. And I re-rendered the video just at 1 a.m. last night before it went live at 8 a.m. the next day.
I got your DM while I was like, oh, shit.
I literally was laying in bed fretting over it. Like, I'm going to get in trouble.
Damn.
So I thought I'd err on the side of caution. And but in a way it's good because that moment, whilst I loved it, I think it was visually very cool, was almost a spoiler in and of itself. So I suppose it's a good thing that I didn't include it because it was a cool moment. Look,
I'm going to tease it out. It was, you get to see the pilot's ass.
All right.
One thing that I always wondered is when you take over an area, is it yours then, or do they repopulate enemies at random from like drop ships and stuff?
That is a great question, and it is one element of some mild concern. And I'm not quite sure on the full answer because I haven't experimented too much. But I cleared out the 4th mission, which is this really imposing tower, and fought off against Choclock. But if you go back there after you've done it, it's no longer like you don't claim it. Like it's not a fob. It's still an installation. But after that point, it felt a lot more empty. And I guess I would have loved to have seen either you take it over and then it's populated by Marines and you can find some weapons and supplies and either that, but I think it just had a couple of enemies in it and I was like, oh, so that's I don't take that as gospel. That's to be seen because it wasn't like it was empty, but it wasn't. This is a big place and
I mean, it does make sense too, though, in a sense. Say you want to go back and pick up some collectibles. You don't want to fight through everyone.
No,
Yeah, I agree
Yeah.
with that.
What about the
I-
open world
it's
there?
probably it's probably me over worrying, but at the same time, if I think I'm at the end of the game, do I want to just be walking around an empty Halo ring devoid of all life?
I do. I want to kill them all.
Yeah, you've
and
literally
make sure
killed them
the ring
all.
is empty of-
An entire covenant.
Well,
of
okay, so
You guys
is
have
it?
got
They
some
have
issues.
they
is it
have
like-
patrols. I've heard.
Okay,
Yeah, like-
so
I mean, you saw me
I'm more.
encounter some on the video.
I'm more. I guess I'd be more bothered by that if the open world remained empty instead of like installations. Have you come across areas where in the open world you took down a patrol or a squad or something, and then come back and saw either a drop ship or just another patrol?
Actually, yeah, I guess that's a great point. Yes,
Okay.
and there are occasions where you can attack a dropship and just randomly you'll hear this, and then the dropship will just come in and they'll drop off like a load more bad guys, like reinforcements, and you're like, oh crap, I've only got a pistol. Yeah, there's lots
That's
of
cool.
moments like that through.
Nice. Okay, cool. Yeah, because in some of the previews, like a living world was said, and I know a lot of times that's like hyperbolic or, but like it is little details like that, just random patrols being dropped in through a drop ship and stuff
Yeah,
like
for
that.
sure.
That do add to that. So that's awesome. That is real cool.
According to
I-
Pixel, sorry, yeah.
Oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say, according to Pixel Bit in chat, they said post game dynamic events will still happen.
That's
Okay,
cool.
cool.
Yeah, I mean, personally, I want it to come into a living world that I can make a dead world, and I just want to know, like, where,
Yes, 100%. I want to kill every single banished.
like, I
species.
want to know where I can
Psyche
stack
is
the
changing.
bodies. I'm just going to stand on top of the bodies, like Jon Snow in Battle of the Bastards, and be like just yelling,
This is me.
looking up. at the
I did
sky.
this.
What do you got to say now? No, anyways.
So okay, another thing I've been wondering: when you rescue Marines and you take them back to a fob, or like, do you take them back to a fob and then they get off? Like, how does that whole thing work out? Or the more Marines you rescue and you go to the fobs, you can notice more activity. I guess how is like that whole Marine, I don't know how to describe it. I don't know what the word I'm thinking of. Just how do you rack up your Marines? I guess do you build up? Like, how is that whole, or is just the Marines that you rescue from a camp that you just stick around until they die?
This might be a good spot to like read some of the stuff about the Marines and then let you talk about it, John. What do you think?
Yeah, go for it. I mean, I can summarize what Joe kind of came in and did. If you want,
Yeah,
you can read out
yeah.
the official. You can read out the official interview in his words. But
Well, there's
like
some people that listen to our show that don't read. Like Nick was in our chat, for example.
he doesn't read.
And by
He's
the
on
way,
Twitter, that's about it. You
he
get more
just,
than 160.
he just came to do the "I told you so" thing. Whatever.
Yes, he does do
No,
that.
this part won't be as long, so I won't read.
Yeah,
as
go on, go
long.
for it.
But it does talk about something else that we talked about on the show previously, that we felt that there was just more than graphics to this. So I think this kind of highlighted that. So they asked and said, you came into this project last year in the middle of the pandemic. The game had been delayed or was about to be delayed for what ended up being an entire year. What were the development issues you walked into, and what work did you? And what was the work you did? So he basically said the short answer is, when I arrived on the team and I played the game, it was immediately clear to me, and other people on the team knew this as well, but sometimes a fresh set of eyes just helps clarify things, that the campaign's foundation was really, really strong, that the big choices that the team made were really, really good. We talked about some of them. It's this wide, expansive world, adding equipment like the grapple shot. All these things were really great decisions, but there were just elements where more work could be done to make them even more impactful. So we really wanted to do a better job of training people, teaching people how to use equipment, to making, so this all sounds like progression type stuff, to making sure that they understood it and could have fun with it right from the get-go. There were Marines in the game, but they were very limited in terms of what they could do. You ended up feeling kind of lonely in this bigger world without any Marines. So we did a ton of work to make sure the Marines could basically pathfind everywhere, like everywhere that you went in the world. If you had a warthog filled with Marines, and they would follow you as best they could up a mountain, like into a cave system, and that took a ton of work. And then he said we added capture points for the Marines who are caught up in energy ropes. You can free them and load them up. So just creating systems like that. And so basically he went on about that. So I'll stop reading there, but it does sound like, they did some things that were pretty core to the game design.
Yeah.
I'll let you kind of to expand on the Marine stuff from there.
Yeah. So you can encounter Marines in a variety of ways. Like, you can come across, camps and patrols that have got them captured and tied up, like you've seen in some of the gameplay preview footage. You can recruit them as soon as you take over a fob. There's always some Marines, and what happens is you go up to them, and if you're close enough, the little blue dot will kind of appear above them, and they'll be like, "I'm with you, Chief," and then they'll just follow you wherever you go as best they can. They've done some really good work. I saw a Marine trying to, for me, I'm the Master Chief. There's no full damage. Hey, off the side of a mountain, you see this Marine desperately trying to pathfind down. There was one time I was playing through and I was like 10 minutes ahead of them, and they came in right at the last minute with I had 2 grunts left to clear out of this installation, and they just rocked up and were like, "Yo, we're here, we made it." And I'm just like, "Wow, guys,
that's pretty impressive."
So he's right. There have been occasions where I'm playing through and I purposefully I'm weird in that I don't take a lot of the Marines with me. I prefer to be solo. Just me against the world. And the fighting and the kind of having them around, it really does make a big difference to how it feels. Because there's lots of great banter, the banter between the Marines and as they fight the grunts and some of the stuff they said. It's almost like the "I would have been your daddy" skull is already on. What did I hear one of them say the other day? He looks like mayo that's been left out in the sun. Something like that.
Have you heard a Marine say "over yonder"?
No, I haven't had a Marine say "over yonder" yet.
Well, that's a Spartan call out, Mike, as we all know from multiplayer.
I'd probably fall out of my chair laughing if a Marine randomly said that. But
I'm going to keep an ear out now. But I think that I'm very curious to see the overall finished critical reception, and I'll have a better idea of that within a couple of days once I've made my way through that golden path, because that's really fundamentally, I think, where the game will be rated on. But there's lots of mystery out there, guys. There's, it's been 6 years. 6 years.
Yeah, seriously.
Come on, John, just answer it. Where is Blue Team and Team Osiris? Where are they?
To my knowledge, certainly not within the first 4 levels of this game.
Did they tell you how many levels there is, John?
No.
Okay. So we don't know anything about.
I could make a guesstimation, but I'm not going to.
Okay, that makes sense. And I know we are kind of running long. And do we have any community questions too? We do have a couple of things we do need to get to before we get to those. Number one, Mr. Joanna Dark asked earlier, and we told him we promised that we would address the second part of his question, and that was about where the campaign can go, right, in future DLC. All right, so this is probably more of an opinion thing more than an educated
opinion for most of us, anyways.
Right.
I'd say.
Well, look, I have no knowledge at all.
The ending,
of any future DLC that's planned or anything like that. I have my own thoughts and ideas, particularly on the engine that they've built and the graphical fidelity that they've achieved. About where I would love to see things go, but I guess it would fully depend upon the end of this story as to whether DLC makes sense or whether it would be a different story to be told. I don't know. We'll find out. Maybe there'll be DLC where we'll play as all the Spartans that died that Chief finds throughout the campaign, and we'll play a level each where you die at the end. Who knows? You could do something really cool with that. That genuinely isn't. That's just me spitballing, guys. I don't want to see that in WCCF tech. But yeah, like I think that Joe Staten alluded to really big plans, and I hate the phrase a lot of the time. This is just the beginning, but if it's just the beginning, it's a hell of a start for this
what I was thinking.
game. I think Halo fans are in for a treat, fundamentally. And we already know we are with multiplayer. That thing's going to have legs, I think. And they already seem to be responding quickly and efficiently to concerns. I've seen a lot of whinging about playlists. There's a part of me that's like, at last, you Slayer diehards, now you're going to learn to play the objective.
They haven't. As someone who's played a lot of matches, they haven't learned to play the objective.
Yeah.
No, I still shoot. No, Jesse was getting frustrated with me, but I had to get my aim back, Jesse. Sorry.
So as long as you put the seeds
picking
in
up seeds,
where they need to go into, you're gonna plant those seeds the way they have to be planted.
The seeds.
Yeah.
I had your playlist update on Tuesday.
I had to get my my headshot rhythm back. Okay, so I think and John, you discussed a lot of things that I think even even watching like a lot of the other previews that these little nuances get me really excited. And we talked about this before too, the ongoing game, the DLC, and I know like there's legitimate concerns, but the thing that makes me feel a little bit different about this going forward, and I know this is it's gonna sound, what do the kids call it, capping? It's gonna sound like I'm capping, but the thing that I'm actually very optimistic about the potential of this game as an ongoing game, as something that's just beginning, because they have been so transparent, because they have been so responsive to the community. And you even heard Staten say that, like, I didn't read everything he said, because I already know I read a lot already. But he talked about, he was very direct about, say, certain things weren't ready, right? And he talked about the co-op. He talked about the progression things. Addressing the complaints very openly. And I think that, to me, like, if you're willing to it's like you're taking accountability, right? And you're also showing that you are hearing what people are saying. And so those aspects, I was wondering why you guys were laughing. So we got more guests in the
if he's complaining about grenades, it's absolutely the real Tom Warren in the chat.
Definitely.
That's all he does.
Yeah, that is the real. Yeah, that's how he verified himself.
A pillar of the franchise for a reason, Tom.
Get good, Tom. Oh man, but
you can hold even more grenades in campaign.
John, are you on mute? I just saw you say something, but didn't say anything.
Oh yeah, I was. Sorry, I was just saying I pinged Tom Warren on Discord just to be, because we've had Jeff Grubb Games Mess appear in here, and it wasn't the real Jeff Grubb. So we're just checking that Tom Warren is the real Tom Warren, and it is. Nice to see you, Tom. Thanks for watching.
Hey, Tom.
Did anybody else want to answer that super chat from earlier? Any other thoughts on the
DLC? What do you want to see?
Personally, I want to see. John's right. It all depends on how the story ends. If the story ends and like it ends Chief's current arc on Halo, then I want to see other Spartans. Right? I want to see other stories, new characters. If it doesn't, then I want to see the ending of, or the continuation of, whatever arc is happening. It's hard to answer without knowing the ending.
We've talked about it before, but I'd love for them to do kind of like an ODST / mainline back and forth. Like have a small team make like a ODST style side story, side campaign. Maybe like what John mentioned earlier, how those Spartans died would be cool.
That'd be kind of cool. Yeah,
that's the next book is actually the 6 months between Chief getting knocked out and the game starting. So, like, you could have something in that.
Yeah. And then, but you have these little side story campaigns where they can maybe be a little bit more experimental, and between the larger mainline, expansions or what. I'm more interested in how are they going to be expansions to the existing SKU, since this is a platform now, instead of there being like a Halo Infinite 2.
I think they're just DLC on top of. The base game is the multiplayer, and then any Story DLC they do can just be its own download. So even if the game hits 300 gigabytes, you have each thing individually. So you can just have 100 new gigabytes installed.
That would make sense.
And just
Okay,
uninstall
it's
all the old campaign.
Okay.
Yeah, so
I'm gonna
that's
ask a
all
risky
DLC on
question.
top of Infinite multiplayer.
I'm going to ask a risky question because I worry that this will be inferred upon. So please don't. I have no idea. I'm just asking, as a fan of that mode, after you've seen all of Zeta Halo footage, all of my footage, all the other previews today of that open world ring, do you want to live in a world where 343 say, yeah, we're making a battle royale mode that exists on Zeta Halo, or a significant portion of it? Would you guys want
It'll
it?
be
or would
made in
you
that Forge mode that you're so keen about.
Yes, but but I'm
Yes,
hoping
but
for
no.
like
But maybe yes.
yes, but with a Halo spin. Like I wouldn't want Spartans to be dropping. I would much rather have ODSTs, or if you're a Spartan, you don't have a shield. Like I have a very specific idea of how I would prefer Battle Royale and Halo to work out.
It doesn't need to be Battle Royale for me, but a slower, higher stakes game mode, I'd be welcome to it. I'll give it a shot.
Escape from Halo TOV.
If I was going to do it, if it were me and I was calling the shots, the problem is that we've got our Spartans, right? And the Spartans are they're our extension, our ourselves in the multiplayer. So to not use them makes no sense. But at the same time, thematically, a battle royale in Halo should really be ODSTs.
Yeah,
because you've got the perfect Pelican dropping into orbit. You pick your trajectory. You hit the ground. The pod bursts open. Dynamic every time. Could be very cool. But if you're a Spartan, they can make it work. You just have different shield cores that upgrade your shield level. All of that battle royale crap. I think the biggest concern for me in terms of the popularity of battle royales, and I know it's a hot topic, is I've waited a long time for a Halo game to be the game that everyone's playing again, that our friends have all come back, customs are happening. Yeah. I fear for the standard modes populations if a battle royale comes out. That's genuinely my fear. And I know it's just a mode, right?
Yeah.
But battle royales are insanely popular.
No, not just the population. I mean, at a certain point, to keep a battle royale alive, you need to inject it with a stupid amount of content. You know what I mean? Which takes a lot of resources, a lot of commitment that I'd rather see somewhere else in Halo.
Yeah. You build it in Forge and you force the community to do it at Knife Point.
That's a great idea.
I think Tom Warren actually made a good point about Halo, which is rare, so we should read it.
I don't believe you.
Just kidding. But he said they could just build on BTB. And that's kind of the thing. Like, I do think there's a downside to a battle royale in Halo, in that, the big team battle right now is kind of like the mode where the casuals and where the social play goes. And if you start kind of sucking all that over to the, I don't know, it can split I think there is a place now that it does suck in everybody who wants to just come on Halo night and jump at a giant party. And I think they could even make that bigger. They could do things more interesting with that. But I think if they could expand on big team battle, so that is still the core of Halo's social nights and things like that. That and Forge, right? But the problem is that when you start getting into battle royale, it is smaller parties of four. I don't know. They're going to have a huge base, so you could argue that they're going to have so many people that it doesn't matter. But I like the fact today, like right now, the one cool thing about the fact they don't have a too many playlists is that people are kind of getting together again for the first time since Halo 3. And I haven't seen that in a long time. And to me, that's even more important than playing my favorite mode, to be honest with you. The fact that we're going to pile in 12 people, everybody's just going to play whatever comes up, and we're just going to have fun. And we can bitch about the seed mode, but, and why the hell did they call it
Why did they
mode?
call them power seeds?
I don't get where the seed.
Reseed the galaxy after fighting firing off all the rings.
Steal your enemy's seed.
No.
Yeah, let's not go there. But that's
Even
been
if it makes
awesome.
sense, just
I know
no.
exactly what you mean, OBM. Like, what was it just yesterday, right? Where I was planning on playing with just a couple of my in real life friends, and then OBM sent me an invite. No, he joined the party, and I'm like, oh, okay, let's see. And then it ended up being like this 12-person party, and we're playing big team battle, and we're having a blast. And,
Except when I had to drive a vehicle,
Yeah.
somebody asked me to drive one.
That whole thing was interesting because I didn't really think I've always been in the camp of like I don't need battle royale, and I am a battle royale fan, so there's that disclosure. But like I don't need it in every game. Usually I roll my eyes, like when they announced it for Battlefield, when they announced it for what do you call it, Fallout. I was like I don't want it in everything. For whatever reason, Halo is the one game, and it's because of like what you described earlier, John.
the ODSTs,
the ODST, the drop ships, like it makes sense in that
the
way.
weapon variety is there too.
Very cool.
You can have the different armor and stuff, different weapons, but at the same time, I didn't think about how it might cannibalize other playlists or game modes. I mean, I guess there is the counterpoint that it would introduce more people because there's a bunch of battle royale people that just they're not playing it.
Right, you're right about that.
But how many people are playing Halo that might jump over there? That's the question.
Yeah.
My hope is that no matter what they do, especially with it being free to play, cloud, PC, Xbox, there's going to be so many people playing that really shouldn't matter. That shouldn't be an issue. If we get battle royale, I'm more concerned about them doing battle royale right instead of us getting it or not. If we don't get it, I'm fine with that. If we do get it, do it because Battlefield, it just was not right.
That seems to be Statton's motive, right? I mean, if you read the interview, he's like, Staten. Sorry. See, I'm not going to hesitated because I wasn't sure which one was the correct one or not. So I just kind of picked Stat.
Also, real quick, the one thing I would say is, if they're doing any multiplayer mode, it's gonna be your multiplayer Spartan. That's who you're gonna play as, because that's how they're selling everything.
That makes
now.
sense.
The cosmetics, everything.
Yeah,
You're gonna be playing that Spartan. It can just be you drop down without your armor because it's not like it's built onto them all the time. It could thematically you're being dropped and you don't have your armor, or you've got shit armor and
Spartans drop their ODST pods too, right? Technically.
Well, they can
What if
have
you could do
things
the best
where
of all worlds? What if you could have big teams that are going up against each other in like massive?
Yeah, I think Tom Warren said the
multiple
same
big-
thing. What if they build upon what they've got in BTB and
12 v12 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 v12?
Yeah, that would be fun.
How many 12s was that?
I don't know, like 7.
I'd be
I
happy
didn't
with
want to be
two
even,
larger
so it pissed
teams.
people off.
Kind of like a Battlefield type scenario where you have 64 players, but 32 versus 32.
I like the 12 times 8. or
And you
whatever.
just cut off last gen.
Yeah.
I'm okay with that.
Thanks for the cloud.
I got the cloud.
Yeah, they got the cloud.
I
That's a
totally
good
forgot
question.
what I was saying.
Oh, sorry about that.
Joe Staten, Staten Island was
Staten-
saying.
Yes,
Staten,
that's what I was saying.
there.
Staten. Okay, now I can't remember what the island's called. And what the creative director of Halo is what he mentioned in the interview, and I feel like this should alleviate some of your concerns, Mike. Is that they took that year off and they made it one of their primary pillars is if they're doing something to do it right, to do it with the quality that it deserves to have.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That shows something about that. That's it's probably another topic, another squirrel we could chase down another rabbit hole. But that to me, that shows some sort of maturity with Microsoft, right? Not just the delay of a whole year, but the fact they could have killed a lot of narratives just to have co-op available, right? And wait, because most people aren't going to review it in co-op.
We
Like,
heard
those complaints would have came out later.
Phil's thing is take your time now.
Yeah.
Like what happened when they bought Bethesda is they immediately started hiring up their QA department.
Yep.
Like it's about
Great
take your
news.
time, and we want to be known for top quality.
Yep.
We don't want to be, the company that keeps putting things out that we then fix down the line, like CFDs and State of Decay and whatnot. We want to be great at the start and great with continued support. So, and that Halo definitely shows that.
Yep, and so does Forza for the most part. Some server issues, but the game is completely playable, perfectly fine.
And by the way, I've had nothing wrong server-wise, which is crazy.
With Halo?
What?
Yeah.
Oh,
Compared to what you would have thought around launch, like I've had a few matches here and there. Oh, you can't connect, and then either you restart or it just works
Even
Other
Gears
than that, we
5
haven't
had
any-
so many server issues at launch, right?
Yeah,
Nothing.
Oh
was-
yeah.
So guys, we're gonna have to get John to bed eventually.
Yeah.
So for everybody who
Yeah.
doesn't know,
Sorry.
he's
Yeah,
I was just
Austin
gonna
is
say-
way behind
so,
on that TV.
so I'm gonna try to cut off tangents, and that's kind of ironic, right? But because
I can just mute you if you keep going.
yeah, I'm just a tangent. Do we have? So before we get, we're gonna save the multiplayer stuff for another show because there's a lot of
We will
it,
be on
and-
next week for Thanksgiving in the U.S. We'll be pre-recording it. It'll
Pre-recorded.
mostly be lore focused, and maybe we'll hit some other stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and I think there's going to be a lot changing because State did say that there's
Yeah,
some
okay.
changes
Tuesday
coming
is going to be
soon.
a big day. I wish we could record Tuesday
Yeah, sorry. I'll
Record
be on the
on
road.
Tuesday. Okay, yeah.
All right, so
because Tuesday is the event.
back on track.
All right, so cut off Abe again. Ursula, how was your day?
It's so nice. This isn't my podcast. So I haven't got any buttons to control here. It's just get to sit
We can make John sit there until he.
The
hits
funny part is
himself.
it's earlier for us, right, than our usual time. It's
Yeah.
late as heck
Right.
for you.
It is very late for me. It's
Yeah.
gone past
All
the
right, you can
point
come back,
of I'm going to play some more campaign. I'm probably just going to go to bed.
Mm.
But
Yeah, let's
if you think about
Why
it,
don't you start it up right now? Like this multitask. Like,
We'll
turn
go
around.
towards it too, actually. While you're
You
on.
can't do
start
direct feed,
playing
but
it.
can you do off camera? Hmm?
no. But
Oh, yeah.
what you could look upon the bright side is if it's early for you, it means you've got a night of Halo multiplayer ahead of you.
Yes, I do.
That reverse psychology. I see what you're doing
Yeah,
there.
I feel
Yeah.
so bad. John isn't able to play more Halo Infinite campaign. Oh.
So before we
That's
go to
right.
community questions, is there
Yeah, I
any
got 'em
major things? Any major things that that you guys
Randall
wanted to ask?
Collingwood's got a really long one. If you want.
Go on. Let's
all right.
do it.
Let's go to the community stuff, and then we'll come back if there's.
Okay.
So do you really?
I was just gonna just really quick give me like a 2-word, 3-word
Oh,
sentence. The music, the score, as you're playing.
Oh, you weren't here. That's
Dang
what
it!
started.
I should have been the
Go-
start.
go listen
I'm
to
assuming
the
good.
podcast.
I'm assuming good. I'm good.
Really
at that.
good.
Okay,
Really good.
really
okay.
good.
Awesome.
Everyone.
All right, questions.
Questions up.
All right.
Hail the Halo followers. I hope that this week was as wonderful as you hoped would be, says good old Collingwood. My question was to be for the panel, but after Sikamikanico's confession, I've had to tweak a little and address it to Sikamikanico directly. I assume that Jon is still under some kind of NDA until Forge is released, and he might not be able to answer my question as it was originally phrased. Having said that, Sikamikanico, do you think that Forge might be able to usher in a creator economy for Halo Infinite, similar to the creator economies for Minecraft and Flight Simulator? That's probably NDA. We have heard that Halo Infinite Forge might be much more detailed and intricate than previous versions, so the creations we might expect could be equally as complex. If talented modders and creators are able to make some coin from their creations, that can only extend the lifespan of the game. Good old Collingwood. I can't imagine you can answer any of that.
I have no comment to make at this time. I feel like I'm
As someone not under
Cool.
NDA, someone who's not under NDA at all for it and has looked at the leaks on YouTube, yes, probably.
I'm going to try not to delve too far into those, though, Jesse, just because the lawyers might be looking at John's face and just his reaction.
John didn't say anything.
Yeah, but
let me put it this way. I think user-generated content, and this is a personal opinion, this isn't any feature set. User-generated content, I think, is one of the key pillars of Halo since Halo 3. I love, personally, the crazy customs and things that people come up with, like the flying griddle that appeared in Halo 5, infection maps and variants and new game ideas, sumo with the mongooses as the platforms start to disappear.
Oh, yeah.
All of this isn't possible without Forge. So, you know, is there a wealth of people out there looking to make that stuff? Yeah. Will there be whenever Forge arrives in Halo Infinite? I imagine those people are going to step right up and make those wonderful things. I can't wait to be one of them.
And this Forge is launching on PC. I feel like that's a really big factor that we have not gotten yet, you know?
John,
creators,
There'll be lots of ums from me and nods. And
John's going to get to use his widescreen when he's building Forge this time, so that's cool. Good question.
All right, next one.
sorry, Collingwood. I can't be too specific.
I answered it for him. He's fine. Next one from some dipshit named Podrick Payne. Season's greeting to you bunch of Cheez-It munching, Rockstar Energy gulping Pringle poppers. My question is for Mr. Clarke. Can you tell us if you're under NDA? I'm kidding. Don't answer that. My real question is for everyone. What weapon combination are you finding to be your favorite go-to so far? Power weapons excluded. For me, I've been shocked to discover how much I'm loving the battle rifle bulldog combo. And not for the battle rifle, obviously, but for how much success I've been having with the bulldog alongside it. It's a weaker shotgun than we're used to for sure, yet it is very quick to fire multiple shots and a good emergency switch to weapon to finish enemies with or deal with when they get too close. Obviously, he's talking about multiplayer. What do you guys like to go with?
You can go first, Abe.
I'm just gonna I'm gonna go with my old trusty battle rifle and just get more ammo for it. But if I were to add something else to go with that, I would say the one thing that kind of stands out is just the variance of the weapons. It used to be in the past I would just load up with two variation, a battle rifle and a DMR or something that was very similar in that range. And this time they're forcing me to go with other things. And that's really cool. Actually, no, that new pistol, that one that heavy revolver look. What's it called?
The Mangler.
Mangler.
That's
the
freaking
Mangler.
awesome. Okay,
Yeah.
battle rifle Mangler. There it goes. That is great.
I'll go next. I would have to say that I have been having a lot of success with the pulse carbine for close range, and then either the DMR or the BR or the VK-87 Commando for long range. It really depends on the map and the mode, though. Like anything arena, when I was doing ranked, it was obviously you're starting with the battle rifle, so finding something desperately fast for close range, and the Needler is just ridiculously good for that. So, go Ursel.
Okay, well, I'll be the one who's not playing ranked, so I will say the assault rifle. Honestly, it's some people might call it too strong, but for the most part, it gets almost every job done. I picked off kills where like they're pretty far, but I can see they don't have a shield up, so I'm like, let me try it. Done. Yeah, assault rifle and bulldog. I know some people were saying they don't like it. I love this gun. I pick it up every time I see it, and even if they're like mid-range away, just fire.
Yeah, if you center mass them, then in every pellet hits, it does a lot of damage.
It's not going to kill them in 2 hits, sure, if they're like somewhere far, but it shoots fast. I can get them down in 4.
Go, Mike.
I like the assault rifle. The assault rifle is a good go-to. Plus, what is that? Oh God, I can't think of it. The red rifle. Stalker rifle.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, that I'm falling in love with. That is such a good. Like, it's got a slower firing rate, but it's kind of like a DMR type weapon, and
you got to get the cadence, and then
yeah, and so I'd say assault rifle and stalker rifle are my. If I find a stalker, I always go for that. But
yeah, it's a solid choice.
Yeah,
it's a solid choice. I think. I mean, man, this is a really tricky one. I want to love the Commando more than I do.
Same.
I liked it better in the flight.
Nerfed it by 1 bullet.
It feels more noticeable than that.
Yeah, it feels more than one bullet.
I'm not sure what it is. Like there are those moments. I mean, I think the fact that they've tied an achievement to that gun, get a perfect kill with the commando rifle, I see that being difficult because the reticule does jump and there is some control. I find if I pace it, it doesn't do enough damage. But if you really hold down that trigger and you're close, it's so satisfying. Ding, 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 dead.
Yeah.
It's really, really. It just it gets my juices going. So if I can pull it off, the commando rifle, paired up probably with something like the pulse carbine for stripping shields, and then you can do a hot swap and nail the headshot. I have to admit, though, I really like having the BR on the sidekick as well. You know, I've played a lot of ranked. That's my, we'll play social if we want to stomp, but ranked is, I like a sweaty game of Halo. So, just having that sidekick pistol as well is really, really nice. Like, it's a really good, handy utility weapon. So I'm very pleased with the gun at the moment and the meta as it exists, but I'm sure there'll be changes over the course of the game.
Learning the electric stuff and how it arcs off metal surfaces, and if you see something next to someone, you can shoot it and hit damage them, Like if there's a gun on the ground next to someone and you've got the lightning pistol and you shoot the gun, it will arc and hit someone if they're close enough to that gun or anything metal.
Yeah,
So
there's a lot of
learning that-
learning to do.
Mixing the dynamo grenades up and having one of those, and you just do like almost everyone's health in a few shots.
Yeah.
Grouped up in big team is incredible feeling.
I got to give a shout out to the skewer. That is such a satisfying weapon.
Yeah.
Oh my god, I love
wanna
that
say
weapon.
Hitting a
something
mongoose when it's flying at you.
Any vehicle when it's you can just watch them go flying after you hit them.
But no, personally,
I just hope they add an update so that when you spike someone, they stick to a wall.
I want
that'd
that
be
too.
cool. That'd be really cool.
Ragdoll to a wall.
Okay, if we're sticking to power weapons, the hammer with the dash is ridiculous. The thruster is so much better in this game because it's limited.
Yes.
Yeah.
I just want them to play Bon Jovi "Shot Through the Heart" when you shoot the
Skewer someone.
Sorry, I don't know why that came to my mind. It's getting late.
We want the last question if we want it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, from
Perfect.
Hassan, aka Big Z. Why? Oh, there's also a very short one from Tavish. No, Tavish, I don't think the repulsor is in the campaign. Obviously, we don't know yet because we haven't gone through the whole thing. But there are only those 4 slots, and that's the 4 we saw in the campaign overview, from what I can tell. Hello, fellow Spartans, and a special welcome to Sikamikanico, who has finally popped his "You Had Me at Halo" cherry. What with the shadow drop of Halo's multiplayer and all of us putting time into it, I hope, I wanted to ask a question that does not revolve around the Battle Pass because it has been discussed to death already. We haven't actually talked about it at all because it was dumb. So I therefore want to ask a positive question, and that is, what is the one aspect that pleases you the most so far about the game? Or what you feel 343 has nailed the most? Thanks as always.
I'm going to cheekily go first and do it in a very simple and direct way. I think 343 have nailed the heart that needs to be in a Halo game. And the sandbox is really cool. Okay.
Yeah.
That was going to be my answer. I was just going to say sandbox. Just sandbox.
I mean, that's a good
Nailed
thing if
the
everyone
sandbox.
says that. So I wouldn't say that's a negative.
No, it's not. I mean, that's really Halo's always been about all those pieces coming together, right? It's never just a one thing. It's that all of it just works to create, it all works together perfectly when it's Halo. So, yeah, good answer.
Anyone else? Oh, wait, Jesse, you're muted.
You'll blue screen to death.
I muted I thought I muted because there was noise over here, and then I actually hadn't. I missed the button. So then when I went to talk, I muted myself. But the grapple shot physics are just like in multiplayer and fooling around with it in the academy and stuff is as satisfying a grappling hook as I've ever had. Because unlike Battlefields, where it's got to work, it's a hook, and you're pulling yourself up, and it's this big swoop, or even Titanfall, where you just pull yourself in a straight line at something. The actual physics in learning how to do this, and you let go, and then you do a slide at a ramp, and you take off like a freaking meth addict. I love it.
Yeah, it's great.
I'll go next. I'll be pretty quick. Obviously, based off just the multiplayer, I feel like they've nailed the hook. By that, I don't mean the grapple shot. I mean, like, I don't play multiplayer games. Not really. I play them for a little bit and I'll stop. Last night, we literally played for like 3 hours. The night before, I played for another 3 hours, and I didn't want to stop, really. You know what I mean? I just wanted to keep playing. I don't know if it's a mix of the post-rock that plays near the ending that kind of, like, hypes you up and goes, okay, it's a close match. Let's see who wins, or the way the matches start, or I don't know what it is. I don't know if I can quantify it. But they've nailed the.
I gotta say, it's a good thing that you're saying this after I gave you the multiplayer review to do.
Yeah, it is. It's also why I was hesitant at first.
I have a question for Abe from the audience, and that is, on a scale of 1 to green with envy, how jealous are you of myself and Rand for having played the campaign?
I'm very jealous, but it's only a few weeks away. So
I look forward to rubbing it in your face too.
It's only a few weeks away. I'm going to pull out, our friend.
Don't. We'll get demonetized.
No. Stop it.
Oh.
too much talk of seeds lately. But No, I'm going to pull out the thing that that King says. Hey, thanks for beta testing it for me. I'll play the more polished version in a few weeks.
Oh yeah, I see how it is.
I'll be playing.
No,
it next.
I would love to be playing it right now. When I'm watching those videos, I mean, I can't wait to get my hands on it.
Yeah, I've already took the time off. There's a couple days. Just
I have that whole week off.
yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, that was it, Abe. No more questions.
Oh, well, then I guess it's time that we can allow John to go to bed. But before we do, normally we do the sign off this time. I usually kick it over to Sol. But John, I do want you to actually, I'm going to let you do the sign off because you have some things to talk to the community about. So I just want you to take a couple minutes and just bring that up.
Oh,
Coming
okay.
It's exciting.
I've been seeing it behind you the whole time. So, definitely want you to get that in.
Okay. Well, do you know what?
Put the link in
guys.
chat.
Because it's you guys, and it's my first time when you had me at Halo. Are you ready for this?
Oh, shit. Oh, no, I'm not.
Big reveal.
Oh.
So I got this back from the video team today. All right, this is an exclusive for this podcast. I was going to save this for tomorrow.
Oh.
Nick's probably going to be mad.
It's our molded dildos. Oh, it's not?
Okay. Are you ready?
I'll scrub that.
So, for everyone watching, you can see behind me an image of it. XboxEra as an entity are creating a book. And that book is a celebration of the original Xbox console made back in 2001. And I have here in my hand the prototype of that book.
Ooh.
Right? So, this is the real prototype. We are launching the Kickstarter for this on Monday.
I linked it in the
You'll be able to
chat.
back it, and you'll be able to get a copy of it. But to give you an idea of the quality, you can see the print here, 2021. You can see some of the design inside. I'm just going to try and do a flick through, but it's not only going to have a compendium of every single game ever released for the original Xbox One. It'll also have excerpts and articles and long editorial pieces on the biggest games, as well as discussions with journalists and content creators. Halo, and it is glorious. It is literally one of the coolest things we've ever done. We've got Nick and NVG there, Colt, Clobberall, some guy called Rand, Seamus Blackley. Long story short, this is probably one of the coolest things I've ever personally been involved in, and I am extremely hyped to get this into people's hands. So, Kickstarter. This could be
sexy.
yours. Look at it.
We should pixelate that, but that's how sexy it is. But
It is very sexy. So there you go. But I'll be chatting more on.
Did it fall?
No. I just plonked it down. I've got tiles on the floor, so it made a louder slap sound than I was perhaps anticipating. I'll be talking more about it on the XboxEra podcast tomorrow, which is at 10 p.m. UK time, and whatever the time zones are that you're in. I can't remember the actual official figures.
Oh, so it's at 5 tomorrow?
Some 10 p.m. my time.
Oh yeah, just a little
we're
earlier.
5 ahead of us.
Oh yeah, 5 p.m. then.
Usually it's 6 Eastern.
Yes.
Oh, that's why I'm
Yeah.
confused.
Yeah, we're the EST crew, so
Yeah, I don't understand your guys. Yeah.
We're in EST world. You guys just
I have to usually I have to ask 10 times before every meeting because I just you need to give me the EST time to do that conversion.
Oh, see, John thinks he's all fancy because he's 0 on the time.
Yeah.
GMT.
Zero, not a hero. But look, guys, it's been an absolute pleasure to pop my You Had Me at Halo cherry. I look forward to coming back on at some point in the more near future now than far future. But I'll certainly be back on to hopefully talk about Forge next year for sure. But yeah, it's been great. Thank you for having me and allowing me to gush and wax lyrical about one of gaming's most storied franchises. It's been a pleasure. It's been a pleasure.
Thanks for joining us, man.
Yeah.
All right, chat, and everybody who actually took some time away from playing Halo multiplayer to listen to us talk about it. Thank you so much. We appreciate you being here.
Thank you for watching, all of you.
Thanks, everyone.
All right. Bye-bye, everybody.
See you.
Adios.